How sweet 'tis to roam by the shore's lovely stream.
DJ Carey, the Dodger himself. After him there was Ollie Baker. DJ steadying himself, turning it in beautifully and putting it over the bar, and he's now got a goal and 4 points. That's a fantastic...
This moment of magic by Kilkenny's DJ Carey in the 2002 All-Ireland hurling final typifies the hurling skill of the county, with an unrivalled tradition and love of the national game as they powered their way to their 27th All-Ireland senior hurling title. The modern story of Kilkenny hurling begins in Tullerone, North Kilkenny, the 1st of November 1884, where 3 young men, Ned Tehan, Jack Hoyne and Henry J. Maher, on the invitation of Michael Cusick, headed for Hayes' Hotel in Thurles.
Ned played in 6 All-Irelands before Kilkenny won an All-Ireland. Jack Hoyne was on the first winning All-Ireland team in 1904. They accompanied Henry Maher to Thurles in a pony and trap. There was a trophy won outright here by Tullerone on behalf of Kilkenny in 1902, and it was presented to Laurie's father, Henry, in recognition of his work for the GA, and as well he was being a founder member. And a lot of people think that that trophy is associated with Laurie, but Laurie would have only been 4 years of age when it was presented to his father.
Tullerone, captained by James Grace, won the first county hurling championship by beating Mooncoin in the county final in April of 1887. They were well beaten in the All-Ireland semi-final by Thurles, who went on to win the first All-Ireland hurling final. The GAA and the Land League were closely interwoven in the 1880s. Hurling and football matches were ideal meeting places for political meetings, despite the concerted efforts of the RIC.
They were all Irishmen, but they were paid by Britain. And they suspected, and I suppose they had reason to suspect, that the GA and the hurlers was fostering subversive movements. I know several hurling pitches around Tullerone here, up a plateau on top of the hills, a big flat field on top of the hills, and that's where they played. And the lookouts would stay, and the police would be seen coming up there, and they'd be all gone. The boys would be gone, they'd be vanished.
In 1888, county champions Mooncoin became Leinster champions. Later in the year, however, the championships were interrupted and eventually abandoned because of the US invasion. This was an exhibition party organised by Morris Davin that played a number of matches to help establish the GAA in America. Michael Codden from Castlecomer and John Fox from Mooncoin were joined by James Grace from Tullerone on the tour. With the establishment of the GAA and the success of Charles Stewart Parnell's parliamentary party, the 1880s was a wonderful decade for nationalism. The 3 Fs, fair rent, free sale and fixity of tenure were conceded in 1881. And by February 1890, when Parnell was cleared of terrorism charges, the uncrowned King of Ireland was at the height of his power. Within a few short months, however, triumph quickly turned to tragedy, when following a sensational divorce case, Parnell was named as co-respondent by Captain O'Shea in his wife's adultery.
He electioneered around Tullerone, and one of the houses he came to was our house because of my grandfather. The land league came into being, and my grandfather founded it here in Kilkenny, and my grandmother was secretary of it. On the morning he left, my poor mother was Dort Welsh, and her sister was Cecilia Welsh and Anne Welsh, 3 sisters. And he gave them a medal apiece that they were after bringing out. And I have that medal.
By 1893, however, the influence of the GAA in particular would help heal the split, and over the next 10 years, Kilkenny would appear in 5 All-Ireland finals. They lost all 5, but in 1904, Tullerone made the vital breakthrough by beating the legendary Rockies, and All-Ireland champions Blackrock of Cork won 9-18 in the final. This was the start of Kilkenny's greatest hurling era, when they won 7 titles in 10 years and could have won another 4. The 1906 Leinster final was lost by having to play without the Tullerone men because of a dispute over the goalkeeper. And in the 1914 Leinster final against Laois, Kilkenny got what seemed a perfect winning goal near the end, but when spectators invaded the pitch, the referee disallowed the score. It may have been some consolation to Kilkenny that year that Mooncoin's Bob O'Keefe was a guiding light in Laois hurling.
There was a Bob O'Keefe who was from Glengrant, Mooncoin, and he was a school teacher in Laois, and he became a Leinster chairman and president of the GAA, and the Leinster trophy, which is the biggest trophy in GAA, is named after him.
This is the village of Glengrant, South Kilkenny. You couldn't go any farther, you jump out in the shoe up there. But all the houses across there, they were all thatch. There were 7 houses at one time. They had 10 statued acres.
Bob got his All-Ireland medal when Laois had a sensational win over Cork in the 1915 final.
He was near the end of his days at the time, and it was in full back he was playing. And like Michael O'Hare had said, the Shamazel was below in the Cork goal because the ball came into him anyway, and he poked it hard as he could and rolled in the Cork goal. Nobody noticed it.
Many of Kilkenny's legendary hurling records were set in that great era.
Take the Dial family of Mooncoin. They won 19 All-Irelands, 18 of them on the field of play and 1 as sub. You take the Graces of Tullerone, I think they won 14 All-Irelands as a family. There was a Drug Welsh of Mooncoin. He played full-back with his club Mooncoin, and he played centre-back with Kilkenny. Jack Ratchett was the full-back, he couldn't play full-back. But he played in 7 All-Irelands, won the 7, captained 3 of them, and he never lost an All-Ireland.
Naturally, hurling had to take a back seat to political affairs in this period. The 1916 Rising, the death of Terence McSweeney on hunger strike in 1920, all caused delays and cancellations in the GAA calendar. There was a lot of confidence in the political process when De Valera went to London in January 1921.
Great excitement for the arrival of a visitor to the Prime Minister from Unhappy Island. During the meeting, prayers in the streets for an agreement. What happened in that De Valera discussion, who can say but himself? But though he opposed petition to the hilt, that was the time the Irish Free State was born.
The treaty and the first Dáil in January 1922 didn't bring the much-desired peace. The GAA calendar was again seriously disrupted by the Civil War. The shooting of Michael Collins at Bale-na-Blaw cast a shadow across the country.
And at this lovely sunny morning, I was going up to Ballyraggett for the paper. And I saw this man in uniform come down the road and he was wobbling a bit. But uniforms weren't the nicest thing to see at that time, you know, and they were a bit frightening too. And I got a bit nervy, if you like. But when he came up to me anyway, he put up the big hands and he said, he stopped me and I got off the bike. I said, it's the best thing to do. And he said to me, Dad, he said, did you hear the news? And I said, I didn't, Shells, I didn't hear the news. I knew who he was. But I didn't hear the news. He said, they killed the big fella, he said, yesterday evening. And of course, the big fella, that's what he used to call Collins. And he told me there, I was in, and the tears were coming down his eyes. They said that time, and I thought everything went terribly quiet. But what they said at that time, when the news of Collins that came, the birds stopped singing. Now that was the way that Collins was regarded by most people.
Kilkenny had beaten Dublin in the 1922 Leinster final and went into collective training for the delayed All-Ireland final against Tipperary in August 1923. The team was trained by Paddy Icy Lanigan and Mick Dalton. A huge crowd watched a very exciting final. Tipperary were leading with 3 minutes to go, but Paddy Donoghue and Dick Tobin, with a goal apiece, sealed the issue for Kilkenny.
Watty Dunphy was the captain of the team that beat Tipperary in the All-Ireland final, and Tommy Carroll from Portruane was also on that team. And then Watty went on to become, as captain of the first Kilkenny captain to bring home the Railway Cup in 1927. And of course, I mustn't forget his brother Eddie was full forward on the 1922 team.
Kilkenny beat Laois in the 1923 Leinster final and met Galway in the All-Ireland semi-final. Both teams stayed in Barry's Hotel on the Saturday night.
And who came in were 5 or 6 of the Kilkenny players and the captain. Dick Grace was in there. And he was the principal speaker. And he was telling them how he was going to retire after All Ireland and settle down and get married and get out of Hurling. And Dick Morrissey gave me an elbow and he said, did you hear that? Yes, I did, I said. He didn't say at all. He says, what All Ireland he'd retire after. By heavens, he won't be in this spot. Well, Galway made a show of them next day. 3 goals and 10 points to 6 points. That was the score. Oh. Well, so that man was rightly out of his opinion.
Kilkenny, helped by 5 goals from John Roberts, beat Galway in the 1926 semi-final in Croke Park. Kilkenny's final opponents, Cork, had to meet Tipperary 3 times to decide the issue in Munster.
There was 3 Mars hurling in 26. Bill was playing corner back. Laurie was playing centre field. And Henry was playing full forward. And Bill Mars cleared the ball. And Laurie connected with it. And Henry drove it over the bar in 26, and Cork beat the Lard out of Kilkenny.
Henry Maher then went to the USA, but returned to play with the United States team against an Ireland selection in the Thornton Games in 1928. A noticeable feature of Kilkenny hurling is the number of hurling dynasties that exist across the county.
We were after putting the cattle on the rail above and came back down the town. And who did we meet? Only little Sim, that was Captain Sim. My father himself was very great. And went into Jimmy Connell's here in High Street. And who arrived in after him? Only Jack Ratchford. And so Ratchford was down full back, a pal of theirs again. Ratchford said to little Sim, God damn it, only for us Wharton, you'd have there a hurler. That's the way he said Wharton. That's the way of putting it. Only for you'd have there a hurler. What do you mean? Well, sure, we sent up all the Jones. Jones was the Grace's mothers, the White's mothers, the Mars mothers, the Croshy's mothers. We're all Jones, all sisters.
In 1931, Kilkenny were back in the All-Ireland final again. The final against Cork caught the imagination of the country by going to a second replay.
Laurie was captain also in 1931, and the second day he got a rather bad injury, 3 broken ribs, and he missed out on the third day. And anyway, he made amends in 33 and 35.
Wales were new, comparatively new, and this postman, Bill Muldowney, he lived out there beyond. I'll show you the place, just across the road. And he made up his own Wales. He was very clever.
My mother bought a red Gansey. You don't hear much about Ganseys now at the present time, but it was a red Gansey. Fishermen wear them a lot. But it was the red colours for Cork anyway. And we were all a big crowd down to O'Connell's. They had the weather set. And I remember quietly, I was up in halfway in the banisters of the stairs listening to the wireless.
And there'd be long pauses, and he wouldn't say anything. And himself and Laurie Marr wasn't great at all. And in 1931, God, I said to a buddy of mine, Tom Tain, I know his Marr hurling at all.
All of a sudden, full stop, the batteries failed. So we had to rush out, and it was about 200 yards down where a man by the name of Teddy O'Brien had the wireless set out on the window. And there was a huge crowd there listening to it. So we sat down the grass. My
father went off to the on Saturday evening along with the master. He was secretary of the Hurling Club, Dan Brennan, a great master here. And when I got him gone, I appealed to my mother, and she consented and gave me her bike. And I wasn't even able to sit on the saddle, but I pedalled on the pedals into town and got there and got home safe.
That particular day, I had 5 bob in my pocket starting off. The train fare was half a crown. It was a shilling to go into Croke Park, and you had 1 and 6pence to spend. And that was it. And you had a good day, but you got back about 3 o'clock in the morning. There was no such thing as timetables or anything like that, you know.
Kilkenny were holding Cork pretty well that day, and a ball went down the left wing. Kilkenny men went to it for one after the other, and whatever happened, the ball pushed it home. And Paddy Delay was in the corner, and Paddy Delay got it and scored a goal. That was the turning point of the match.
The 30s was a golden era for Kilkenny. They were beaten, as you say, in 31 after 2 replays. Still the only All-Ireland to go to 2 replays, and indeed many people contend that was the All-Ireland final that made hurling. Came back then and won in 32, won in 33. And that 33 team was the first Kilkenny team to win the league and All-Ireland double. And that team was captained by Neddy Dial of Wonkine, not related to the 3 other Dials, but a wonderful hurler. And his son Noel became a famous man in our club, and where we're standing here this evening, now the building in the background there is dedicated to the memory of the late Noel Dial.
You'd never be selected in Kilkenny if you were the best hurler in Europe and come from another county. They came here from Tipperary, the best men, and they win all Ireland Tipperary, and they were hurling with Dick Spurr and James Stevens and all the rest. They were never. It's strange. I don't know why now. I don't know what is the reason. But it happened now, and facts are facts.
Kilkenny people are raddled with black and amber from the day they were born, and I always said that if fathers couldn't be inter-county hurlers, the first ambition they have for their kids is to be on the Kilkenny team. And like down the west of Ireland, there's an old saying that if we make Mary a nun and we'll make Paddy a priest, and the rest of them can look after themselves. And in Kilkenny, that kind of whole religion scenario takes a different twist. In Kilkenny, it's we'll make him a centre forward, and at worst he could be a corner back.
The following year, Kilkenny beat Dublin in the Leinster final. Clare, who had lost the Munster finals of 27, 28 and 30, finally made the big breakthrough by beating Cork, the All-Ireland champions.
And then they met Galway, a very handy Galway team in the Gaelic grounds in Limerick. At half-time, there's varying reports, we were 15 points down, we were 13 points down, but we were certainly down 3 or 4 goals.
Tull Considine started and he kept blowing balls into the net like nobody's business. And Clare won the match.
I think there was a record crowd, something around 30,000 at the final against Kilkenny. Kilkenny were a blend of Lowry Maher, the experience of Lowry Maher, and maybe some more youthful players. And in a very tight first half, again Tommy Daly reports indicate kept us in the match.
Clare led by a point at half-time. 3 subsequent goals seemed to send Kilkenny on their way. But Clare rallied. With 2 minutes to go, Tull again plucked the ball out of the sky.
And there are 2 versions. One that he was pushing the back, which was obviously the Clare version. But the Kilkenny version was that he got this superb shoulder, which just knocked him off the ball, and the ball trickled out wide, and Kilkenny broke up field and scored the 3rd point, which won the match.
In 1933, Kilkenny won their first league final against Limerick and also beat the Shannonsiders in the All-Ireland final. A great goal by lovely Johnny Dunn was the difference between the teams. Kilkenny beat Offaly, Laois and Galway on the way to meeting Limerick in the 1935 final. Kilkenny held on to win by 1 point in a downpour.
A record crowd of 51,000 packs Dublin's great stadium for the big day of the Irish hurling year. The same 2 clubs as last year are fighting out the final, Limerick nearest the crowds and Kilkenny. And last year Kilkenny won, but they only managed it by 1 point, so this year it looks as if the fight will be tougher than ever. Right from the start, Kilkenny attack, and within 3 minutes they're 1 point up. But Limerick fight back, and the end comes with Limerick winners by 5 goals and 6 points to Kilkenny's 1 goal and 5.
Kilkenny got to the final again in 1937. This time the final was played in Killarney as the Cusack stand was being built and completion was delayed because of a strike.
Over 44,000 people at the Fitzgerald Stadium watched the Senior All-Ireland Hurling Final. The occasion is rather an historic one. It marks the close of the 50th Championship and the first time the final has been played outside Croke Park for 30 years. The tussle is between Tipperary and Kilkenny.
Gary came on in the match in Killarney, so there's nothing he could do.
He was a wonderful striker. I couldn't ever recall him striking a ball wrong. Sure, he was only ever hooked or blocked. He'd either drive it wide or over the bar.
Tipperary are fielding the team which defeated Limerick in the Munster final, and possibly for that reason, they show that they're the superior side. Tipperary forced the pace from the throw-in, and for a time there's promise of a close struggle. But when the Tipperary forwards find their range, they gradually take the upper hand, and they run up an interval lead of 12 points.
We had a unique type of house, a 2-storey attached house, and we hadn't any great use for it. And we even thought of selling it at one stage. And my solicitor, I suppose, was pretty good. He said to me, he says, can you be farming there and see somebody passing up and down by you? Like, would that work? And I think that was the clinching point, and I decided that whatever we do, we'd hold on to it. When I did take the decision to pass it on to a company, it was with the provision that it be a memorial to all hurlers, and I specified hurlers, like coming from the parish of Tullaroan, we had with a lot of people that were worthy of being remembered, and Monkine and Three Castles and all the great centres of hurling, but in general I meant all hurlers. The leader programme was very much being spoken about at that time. Money from Europe, of all places, like Laurie would have laughed at that.
Kilkenny reversed at the 1938 Leinster final result against Dublin and met Cork in the Thunder and Lightning final of 1939 on the weekend that World War II began.
Nobody in Croke Park or nobody in the Kilkenny team knew anything about the war. Couldn't care less, no. Normally Kilkenny would stay in the Castle Hotel because the lad that owned the Castle Hotel, O'Connor, he was from Lisdown, but he was married to a girl from Monkine. Now, during the war years, everything was scarce, but he had everything, you know. He had bread, he had meat, he had everything.
We were sitting at the sideline, and the rain came down in bucketfuls, and then the thunder and the lightning came. We had to run.
The black and amber just ran into each other, you know, and ran down into the tugs. The ball broke and got going early on. Then after a while, a big high ball came in. There was 3 or 4 of us around it. And I was lucky enough to flick it back in over my head in, you know. And then starting off, when the ball was thrown in for the second half, I got the ball from the throw-in and scored a goal, a point at the railway. And I remember when Jimmy Welch coming, he said, I didn't think you could hit the ball that far.
Cork fellas are they're great sportsmen. Great, I must say that about them. They're great sportsmen. And if you're a sportsman, they take you to their hat. Kilkenny was 64 against. So I was shamed into taking bets. Took too many bets in it. Jimmy Barry Murphy had a bet of 60 to 40. He wanted me to take it, but I couldn't. I said I'd take half of it. No, he didn't. So they come up then on the Saturday evening, they come up to Kilkenny and they got the bet on in Kilkenny in Dan Ballard's. And then they got the whole 60 to 40 on, of course, as they did, they lost it. But I won £102 on the day. I never saw a pool day after. I thought I wouldn't anyhow.
1940 brought Kilkenny and Limerick together again for the fourth final meeting in this era. The moving of Mick Mackey to midfield was the turning point, and Limerick went on to win by 6 points, and Kilkenny's second golden era had come to an end. In the 10-year spell, from 1931 to 1940, they won 8 Leinster titles and 4 All-Irelands. For their coach Danny O'Connell, 1939 was his 11th success with the team over a 35-year spell, stretching back to their first win in 1904. Kilkenny lost the 1945 All-Ireland to Tipperary and played Cork in the great finals of 46 and 47.
Oh, sure. I was picked for centre back to play upon Christy Ring, which I never played. But sure, I'd have played in gold. So glad to get on.
When you pick up a ball in an All-Ireland final, you don't know where you're bound for. But anyway, I picked it up and I started the run. And eventually I found that I was I had shaken off most of my opponents, but I was in the wrong place. So then I said I changed my mind and came across the goal. He's into the roof in this, you know.
Sure, I suppose maybe I hurled him fair enough up till the last minute. He scored a goal after me and they changed me then. Brought me to the middle of the field and put Dan Kennedy back on him, and he scored, I think, a goal and a few points off of Kennedy, and I'd say that kept me on the team.
That was the day Ring came into his own, in my opinion, in 46. He cut loose in the second half, plus a number of others as well. He mightn't have got all the scores, but he made most of them. And we won comfortably in the end.
I started with the heroic senior team, and I played with them for a while, and was selected on the senior hurling team then. And I had great, pleasant memories, let's say, from 45 to 50 with the Kilkenny team, you know.
46 couldn't compare at all with it, in my opinion, for the pace of the game and the range of hurling that was in it. Of course, Kilkenny, as you know, were terribly skillful. You had Langton, Mulcahy, Leahy, all these fellas. They were great players.
I went down in one knee anyway, and the ref, who was Phil Person at Tipperary, blew the whistle and a free in, and it wasn't a free at all, so he never touched me. Leahy came up and pushed over the bar, and I think that was the levelling point. No, I'm not sure.
Cork scored 2 goals late in the game, went ahead twice, and Kilkenny fought back and won it. Terry Leahy scored the equaliser and the winning point. It's something that will remain in a youngster's mind for all time.
I'd get a bus from Enniscorthy to Ferry Bridge, just this side of New Ross, and I'd cycle from there to Thomastown and get the train in from Thomastown to Kilkenny. And on the Sunday then, I'd play the match. Sometimes I think it was most times in Kilkenny, but you could go to Callan or Thomastown. And when that was over, come home, have my tea, and then I'd cycle back to Enniscorthy, which was 35 miles.
Lee shocked Kilkenny in 48 and 49, but Kilkenny got to both the league final and the All-Ireland final against Tipperary in 1950.
The greatest display of hurling I ever saw by a Kilkenny man was by Shem Downey against Tipperary in the league final of 1950. He was playing on Sean Kenny. The heading on the newspapers, of some of them the next day, was, "If ever a man deserved a trip to America, 'twas Shem Downey."
Come on then in the All-Ireland and put me back in the middle of the field again, and I said, lightning never strikes in the one place twice, I said. It's not going to happen. I said, I'm going to do the same thing. So they changed me back to centre forward.
Yes, here they come, the men of Kilkenny in their black and amber, the lads from Tipperary in their blue and gold. And as the teams parade, one enthusiastic supporter puts the crown on Tipperary's captain, Sean Kenny, who wears it on the Kildare side.
A high ball would be coming in out of the sky, right? And 'twas legal that time with the roof. The forwards could charge in before the ball, and they could have the goalie hanging it in the back lat before the ball had come on. But so it was up to the backmen to keep out the forwards.
And introduced to the captain and referee, Con Murphy. And as the teams stand to attention, the band strikes up out on the Vian.
The All-Ireland final was a bit of an anticlimax. And we were far superior to Tip in that game, and still beat and missed some frees and things like that. 1-9, 1-8.
Lahey came in. Lahey came in at the back of the goal. They were after being a goal, got a goal. So Lahey he'd always be in, you know, and he'd say, "Oh boys, you want to be dropping the blade another couple of inches," he'd say.
At this stage, a canine spectator, finding his view obscured, took up a midfield berth, but is escorted to the sideline. Tip launch another attack, only to find Pendergast and Shem Downey as staunch opponents. The Premier County is hard to dishearten, and once again they rally. But as the scores mount on both sides, the Kilkenny men have, if anything, the better of the exchanges. Diamond Hayden is tackled by Sonny Marr and Jimmy Kennedy, who in turn has to give best to Prendergast.
The Diamond story, the local coming went up to Dáil Éireann and they brought on the Diamond. You brought the Diamond wherever. The Diamond was your ticket into an awful lot of places. Highly respected man, of course. John Wilson came across the forecourt of Leinster House and he said, "Diamond," he said, "the boss wants to see you." Now the boss at the time was, God be good to him, Jack Lynch. That was 2:45. To the best of my knowledge, at 20 to 10 that evening, with the bus still waiting, the leader of our country and probably the most respected politician we've ever had, the great Jack Lynch, and the Diamond Hayden came arm in arm across the forecourt of Leinster House, and our Taoiseach deposited the fullback of 1947 on the Callan bus and said to the boys, "You can take him home now."
They thought the way Kilkenny performed in 47 that they were in for a couple of All-Irelands, which the way the thing ran that time was Tip 1-3 and Cork come along in 52, 53 and 54, and Wexford came along and won in 55 and 56. The most peculiar thing about it was that I never played on a losing Kilkenny team against Wexford in a Leinster final. We beat them every time and won no All-Irelands.
The crowd gathers round the Hogan stand as GAA President Micheál Keogh presents the cups to Sean Kenny, the Tipperary senior captain, and to young Lennon, the Kilkenny minor captain. And so ends yet another spectacular chapter in the glorious history of Ireland's national game of hurling. Maihud, Tibradar and August Kilkenny.
It's hard to compare it, like, you know. Sure, every fella thinks his own crow the whitest, doesn't he? We said we were better hurlers than the lads today. You know, but there wasn't many DJ Careys around that time. In my time, now Langton would be the nearest to it, and possibly Terry Lahey, you know. But Langton wouldn't do the things that DJ do now. Langton was always, you were hurling beside him and you were bullocking for him, and Mulcahy was at one side and I was at another side, the other wing, you know, and Mulcahy was a bullocker and so was I, and you'd pass the ball possibly to Langton, he'd put it over the bar, no question about it, you know.
I went at him on my own in 61. There's two places to get the best ash of all, and that's ditch ash or ash growing near a stream, because ash takes an awful amount of water. The best age for hurley ash is 35 years. It's a bit too young under 30, and when it goes over 40 it's a bit too old. If you haven't a certain amount of weight in the plank. You could be nodding your head at it. Tony Wall at Tipperary and Christy Ring of Cork. You couldn't have them heavy enough for him. I remember Christy asked me to make a hurley for him, and I said, Christy, what way do you want it? Oh, he says, Raymond, he says, leave all the timber you like in it. He says, I'll swing it.
Why not join the crowds converging on Dublin on Sunday, September the 6th, 1953 for the hurling final.
Galway got to the first of their 3 final appearances of the 50s by virtue of a fortuitous win over Kilkenny in the 53 semi-final in Burr.
With about a minute to go, and Jimmy Langton got a 21 yards free dead straight in front of the goal. So everyone thought he was going to just tap it over for a point for the equaliser, but he went for a goal, and the ball was saved by Sean or Colm Corliss and cleared out the field in the full-time whistle win. So we were in an All-Ireland final, which was a great achievement.
That was my last time to play for the county. I might have been a sub maybe in 54.
As well as creating records on the hurling fields, Kilkenny has a proud tradition in camogie.
No, lad said to me, God, you trained him well. I brought him to matches. I bought him a hurl. They played in 13 All-Irelands and won 12. Angela played in the first one and Anne was a sub. Got into trouble, of course, too. Told the lady one day now to get your whistle in her mouth again. And I got 3 months for it.
Kilkenny got to the All-Ireland hurling final again in 1957 against Waterford, but they were lucky to beat Dublin in the first round.
Kevin Heffernan got a loose ball, and I believe I was the nearest back to him. I wasn't marking, but I was the nearest to him, and I went to go to him. But he must have realised that time was up, and he steadied himself. And he over-delayed hitting the ball to make absolutely sure. And Brian Smith, who was refereeing, blew it full time.
57 created a new rapport, call it what you will, a new kind of an arrangement between Waterford and Kilkenny. It was now a rivalry of equals.
They were making the film called Rooney, and John Gregson was the star. And it was about a Dublin dustbin man who was a hurler and played with Dublin in an All-Ireland final.
Paddy O'Keefe sent word that this film star would be in Croke Park the following day, and he was putting him in the Waterford dressing room. I felt like that we had enough without that distraction and that interference. As it turned out, it would have been a great thing.
They came to Kilkenny anyway, to Paddy Grace, and sure, Paddy Grace was a great man of reading any situation. Let him in here to him, he said. There'll be a lot of tension in the dressing room, he said, in the run-up to the match. And he'll be in there, and they'll be looking at this fella, and they'll be wondering what he's about, and they'll be talking about him, and they'll be out hurling before they know what's happened, he said, and there'll be no tension. And then in the parade, he slipped in between myself and Sean Classy, I think, in the parade. He just stepped in out of the edge of the crowd, into the parade, and paraded around with us. We paraded with 16 men.
And the men of Kilkenny in their striped black and amber jerseys. Dennis Heaslip gets the ball on the wing. Into his hand and over the bar. Waterford are hurling really wonderful stuff, and Frankie Walsh increases their lead. Back come Kilkenny. Billy Dwyer gets the ball, works his way past the backs, and soon that ball is in the back of the Waterford net. Mickey Kelly sends the ball to Mick Kenny, and the ball is crashing to the net for a goal that changes the whole complexion of the game. And seconds later, Mikey Kelly, the captain, sends over the point that makes Kilkenny the champions with the score 4-10 to 3-12. The Kilkenny captain is cheered off the field with the cup of championship honour.
Paddy Grace was an outstanding character, really, like, you know, an outstanding, you could read the situation, great camaraderie with the players. If a player had a problem, Paddy Grace would solve it.
We went to a league match in Cork, and 2 lads kind of were going to Dublin, and they were with a car of other people going in. The car went without him, and the following day, where did they go? They went to Grace's. Is he there, Maureen? He was there. We haven't a bob. How can we get back to Dublin? And Paddy was there to take care.
After losing to Tipperary in the 58 semi-final, Kilkenny were back in the final again with Waterford in 1959.
A sideline puck comes to Billy Dwyer, and in he goes for Kilkenny's first point. the expressions on these faces show that Kilkenny are now in front with only 2 minutes to go. Here it comes. Larry Guinan to Seamus Power. He shoots. It's a goal. The equaliser. The day is saved for Waterford.
Good Lord, it looked as if it had gone from us with time running out and not a hope. As a matter of fact, Powley thought he had won the game with the goal instead of which was a draw.
He struck it in, and the Link Welsh, who was full back, I suppose he went to go parry it or block it instinctively, and it glanced off his hurley into the net, and if he hadn't touched it, I think Ollie would have had it down at the 21 at the other end, and we'd have won that day too.
Earlier in the day, Kilkenny lost the minor final to Tipperary. One of the Kilkenny forwards was drafted onto the senior team for the replay.
All the stars are not Tipperary lads either. See the dash and craft of Kilkenny's Eddie Kerr.
Then I was brought on the panel for the replay, and I got my chance to go in the final in '59.
Then Mickey Walsh sends the sideline puck into the goal mouth. He slip rushes in. He shoots. It's a goal. Kilkenny are 4 points in front. Can nobody stop Tom Cheesty? This shot of his is saved, but rushing in, he connects again to crash Waterford into the lead.
But there was that fear, could they conjure something out of nothing and do it again? But no, I know we were clearly on top, clearly superior, undoubtedly. As a matter of fact, that was the only time, I think, that the man of the match in those days was an Irish independent thing, and what they had was the team. The entire team got the man of the match award.
37,000 turned out to see Wexford beat Kilkenny in the Oireachtas final in October. Wexford would also come out on top in the 1960 Leinster final.
Tuxir a game on O'Quare agus cool like Kilkenny.
While Tipperary might have been the dominant senior hurling team in the early 60s, the Kilkenny Miners were setting the headlines at underage.
Greater scoring power in their forwards. Freeney, Welsh, Barry, Aylward, Delaney and Kinsella, all having a hand in building up a winning total, to which Tipperary could only reply through 2 scorers, Keating and the accurate...
Kilkenny won their first minor in 1931. They won 2 more in that decade, and they didn't win another one until 1950. We won the 1960, 61 and 62. Thomastown man Billy Grace captained the team, Paddy Dempsey was on goal, and John Murphy and Mickey Kelly were on the panel. After winning the 62 final, and I was living in Dublin at the time, we traditionally went back to Kilkenny for the reception. And I thought this was natural, like, you know, I didn't think of work on Monday, I needn't tell you. Came back on Wednesday. One of the floor managers called me into the office and he said, look, he said, there's a Monday and a Tuesday in this week, like, you know what I mean? So where the heck were you? After a while I said, look, I think I'll move on. And there was a great old friend who worked with Ben Dunn Sr., a man called Dan Dunn, no relation, and he played on the 3 draws for the Kilkenny team, and he was like a grandfather to me, and he was very upset that I was going to leave. But anyway, I left. But when I was leaving, I asked to see Mr. Dunn himself, and I went up to the office, and he was very kind to me, as he always was, and he sat me down. He said, as the chat went on, he said, I hear you're fairly handy with the hurl, Tom. And he said, I'll give you one little bit of advice, he said. He said, however good you are on a Sunday, there's always a Monday to start the working week.
I was beginning to wonder whether we'd win anything, but we were fortunate to beat Cork in a league final in '62. And I suppose for us, and it was probably the last occasion, major occasion, when the great Christy Ring was on the field and played at full forward that day. And as far as I remember, he scored a magnificent goal and 5 or 6 points.
Despite the 1962 league win, Kilkenny lost the Leinster final to Wexford. They reversed that result the following year and met their neighbours Waterford in the All-Ireland final. This was the 3rd final meeting of the near neighbours in 7 years.
Kilkenny led by Seamus Clear, Ollie Walsh, Sean Clohessy, Paddy Morden, Tracy Coogan and Dwyer. Waterford, led by Joe Condon, Tom Cunningham, Larry Guinan, John Barron, Mick Dempsey, Phil Grimes and Tom Cheesty.
Now the like of Grimesy and Powley had, they were at the tail end and both played on the full forward line, having been in midfield up to that. They both played the full forward. John Barron, who had been a cornerback, played full forward.
Dennis Heaslip is taken down, and the unerringly accurate Eddie Kerr shoots Kilkenny into a 4-point lead. Kilkenny are in rampant mood. They storm back into attack, and this goal by Tom Walsh gives them a lead of 11 points. Seamus Clear, the Kilkenny captain, who played an outstanding part in the victory over a gallant and not too lucky Waterford team.
You had some new fellas coming in, and it looked good too for the future, but 63 unfortunately marked the end of the era.
The All-Ireland champions had a 12-point win over Dublin in the 64 Leinster final. Tipperary, who had won the 61 and 62 finals, were their opposition in the final.
High ball, well upfield, in, and it has gone over the bar. Oh, what a start, what a start. Jimmy Doyle racing for it, doesn't quite get there quick enough. Sean Buckley does. Sean Buckley up now to Tom Forrestal, and Forrestal going racing through. He's been chased by Tony Wall, he's still going through. A high one, and it's a good one, it's the point. Paddy Moran being chased by Mick Roach. Ted Carroll coming in now, getting the ball, and upfield a shortish puck to John Tehan for Kilkenny. He just can't hold on to the ball there, and Tony Wall clears it down. But it's Sean Buckley putting Kilkenny into the attack again. Tom Forrestal up to Tom Walsh, and the fair-haired Walsh racing through, takes his shot and sends it over the bar.
We got a drubbing in the All-Ireland final. Tip double scored us. I think it might have been 28 points to 14. Give or take, but 5 goals have scored against us anyway.
They had many great performances in the 60s, but I reckon 64 was actually the peak of their performances, and they really literally wiped us off the field.
Paddy Moran, or Ted Carroll, beaten by Babs Keating, and Babs' shot from the halfway line is good, it's over the bar. And it comes out to Babs Keating. With a high dropping ball between Sean McLaughlin and Shaw Whelan again, and Donny Nealon is in, and it's a goal!
Wexford again were Kilkenny's downfall in the 65 Leinster final.
Staples bottled up between two players, and he gets in his delivery, well downfield to Wexford, to Joe Foley. Joe Foley out to Hubert McGrath. Hubert tries a quick one, and sends it high, and sends it over the bar!
1966 promised to be Kilkenny's year. In May they won the league and met a young Cork team who had struggled to come out of Munster in the All-Ireland final. The teams had met earlier in the league semi-final. Goals like this helped Kilkenny to a 12-point win.
He clears it away up the field where Eddie Kerr gets it. Eddie, 50 yards out, 40, 30, 21, 14, shot and goal.
Your measurement of your success is September. But we won the league in 66. We won the Oireachtas in 66. We won the Leinster Championship. We were undefeated, really, coming to the All-Ireland final. And we were meeting Cork, a young team. And this team of 66, we had played together, a lot of us had played together 63, 64, got beaten in the Leinster Championship 65. But, you know, the nucleus of the team were there. We were an experienced team.
That was a team that was plucked out of the air, literally. We had a lot of very good young lads. We had the likes of Gerald Mack, Charlie McCarthy, Justin McCarthy, Shawnee Barry.
It's a great position to be in an All-Ireland final. The pressure was completely on Kilkenny. They had hammered us in the league semi-final, and they were certainly expected to hammer us again in the All-Ireland final.
And down here in front of us, something very unusual, a colour camera, colour television camera, because a special recording of this game has been made for ABC's Wide World of Sport to be seen in the United States.
I doubt very much if there was 5 people in Cork. Nowhere else would have given us a chance to beat Kilkenny.
I remember full well going to the game in the bus, and a sing-song actually started up, which I have never seen since, or before that I had never seen it either. A sing-song started on the bus amongst the team going to the Croke Park, and you know, everybody was in the right frame of mind.
Eddie Kerr for Kilkenny from out on the far side, high and over the bar. Another point for Kilkenny scored by Eddie Kerr. 2-5 to 10 points, just 1 point between them. Cork the leaders, 11 points to 10. And from the puck, it's a long one, way down the field. Jim Tracy's clearance is the short one, however, and John O'Halloran gets the ball for Cork from a very awkward angle, a high one, and the ball is in the net. It's a goal. It's a goal.
And from where I saw it anyway, at the other end of the field, he hit a high shot up that looked like as if it was going over the bar, and it appeared to hit the top of the upright and drop down and into the net.
And it's Sean Buckley with the ball now. A high ball across the goal mouth. Joe Dunphy trying to keep it in play. Paddy Barry blocks it down. It goes to Dennis Murphy for Cork. And his clearance comes to Eddie Kerr. Eddie low and hard. Half blocked down. Tom Walsh, it's a goal! It's a goal for Kilkenny, scored by Tom Walsh. Shawnee Barry takes the free. And it's hit the upright. Come back in the play to John Bennett. John Bennett takes the shot and it's over the bar. Over the bar for another point for Cork. In the dying moments of the game. And the score, 3 goals and 9 points for Cork, 1 goal and 10 for Kilkenny. And there goes the final whistle.
It just goes to show, I think, like that the team with a greater hunger will win. Maybe we were on paper the best team, but like it's on the field it matters. And Cork came out and again rocked us back that year and comprehensively beat us.
And we had a wonderful medic, a man called Dr. Kieran Cuddihy. And I think he used the same old adage. I think if he gave guys water and he said he had a mixture in it, they believe it. I think he may have given some of them an aspirin, I don't know, but it was nothing.
The highlight of the 67 league campaign was the 3 meetings between Kilkenny and Clare at the semi-final stage.
But waiting for it is Pat Henderson. Pat for Kilkenny getting on to Tom Walsh. Beautiful pass and a beautiful catch, 30 yards out. Tom collects the ball, sends in a shot, and it's in the net.
Wexford won the final by 7 points and were in a strong position in the Leinster final, but a typical Kilkenny rally yielded 3 goals and 1 point and a 10-point win set up another final appearance against Tipperary.
Goal. The crouching Tipperary men waiting for it. It's low, it's blocked down by John Doyle, and it comes across into the centre, and it's a shot there that's very well blocked down by John O'Donoghue, and the clearance comes out to Paddy Moran, and Paddy Moran into the goal mouth, and it's a goal! It's a goal! Theo English pulling on it, can't quite get it up the field. Mick Burns pulling on it, can't get it up the field either. John Tehan scoops it down to Eddie Kerr. Eddie Kerr very quickly into his hand and high, and over the bar for a point for Kilkenny. The Kilkenny men rampant now, soloing up the field as if the ball was stuck to his Hurley. He takes his shot and there's the equaliser. Mick Lanigan gone back there, so is Theo English, and Theo English comes out to 50 yards out where Paddy Moran gets it, and Paddy high into the goal mouth. Tiernan Carey with the ball now, the ball knocked off his stick by Tom Walsh. Jim Lynch is in there, right, the goal! It's the goal!
The joy in Kilkenny was tempered by a serious eye injury to star forward Tom Welsh.
You cannot believe how many people came to me and wished me good luck and so on and so forth. And I mean, the night I went in after the game, I didn't realise how bad the injury was, but obviously my eye was badly damaged and had to be taken out as a result. Anyone who is a parent will understand that you'll take any hardship yourself, but you don't want your children to have to take it. And I know my parents were very hurt and upset for me, not because of anything else, but it wasn't to do with hurling, it was to do with my life. And you know, you look at the situation and say, well, he's ruined, he won't be able to do anything. And then I had Angela, my fiancée at the time, and she was marvellous, and her father, the late Paddy Grace, and Maureen. Honestly, when you have people like that on your side, things move on.
John Dyle was going for his $9 medal, like we kind of bet him that day, so it was great that way, like, you know. So that is, you know, I'd say if you asked any of the Kilkenny players, I'd say in that time, I'd say like that is stick out in the memory like the most.
They used to go up that morning in the train, and the lads usually used to play cards to relax. And when they arrived on the train, no one had cards, so they started playing pitch and toss in the corridor of the train. and Ollie won something anyway, and he had a belt on the door like in excitement, and drove his fist through the glass and pumped blood, so they had to wrap it up in a towel, and they sort of secretly, as far as you could, brought him off to the Mater Hospital, and of course he was told that there's no way he could play, and he got, I think, 3 or 4 stitches inside and many outside, and it was bandaged up. But as it turned out, Ollie had the game of his life, won Man of the Match award and Texaco award and everything there was to be won that year.
Ollie Walsh, what a mobbing he's getting from his supporters. He's having a rougher time out there now, and he's roaring his head off with excitement and jubilation.
Father Tommy Maher was, I think, at his very best in '67 for me.
He was a professional in the art of coaching. I'd say he was the first professional team manager or coach, and in my view he did an awful lot for hurling.
Spent an awful lot of time with hurling and developing the skills of hurling and making you able to do the skills that little bit quicker.
1968 was Wexford's year. Kilkenny found Offaly a handful in the 1969 Leinster final.
Mick also comparative newcomer to the Kilkenny senior colours. Oh, a lovely cut right across the goal mouth, right into the goal. It's a goal! It's a goal for Kilkenny!
And we wouldn't have won the Leinster final except for Delaney. We played Offaly in the Leinster final, which was unusual. And I think the score was something like 13 points to 3 goals and something for Kilkenny. But Offaly should have beaten us that day.
You're very lucky sometimes. I was a young lad coming up and I came in tremendously lucky to come in with a very good team. A very good team. I was young, able to run. And Shamey, I came on instead of Shamey, who was an absolute star, but Shamey's knee had gone. Shamey's knee went, so I was able to run. Wasn't able to hurl as good as Shamey, but able to run though.
The All-Ireland final was a repeat of '66.
One along the ground, dribbling up near the end line. Up by Charlie McCarthy, he's cutting in, he takes the shot, and it's a goal! A lovely cut right into the goal, and Paddy Barry goes up, he's lost his hurling, and the ball's in the net, it's a goal! Not a very long one. Dennis calling for Cork, taps it down, but it goes to McLaurin of Kilkenny from 50 yards out, a high ball dropping in towards the goal. Paddy Barry at the goal, and taps the ball out, and he taps it out to Gerald McCarthy. Gerald can't quite hold on to it. The ball has gone to the wing to Pat Kavanagh. Kavanagh, a low hopping shot in towards the goal, pulled down, getting near the goal. It's a goal! It's a goal! And so, after a very slow start, Kilkenny had come round and won the All-Ireland title of 1969.
And then there was an injury to Pat Delaney. Sort of a nasty injury. He got a bad head injury, which sort of deflated Cork actually, as well as motivating Kilkenny, and it had a significant bearing on the game because we ploughed ahead from that on, and I think we won by 7 or 8 points in the end.
The same two teams travelled to Wembley the following year.
So what better exponents of this ancient and skillful game for the Wembley crowd than league champions Cork and All-Ireland champions Kilkenny? In spite of a marked resemblance, this sport has little to do with jolly hockey sticks. It's fast, tough and exciting. The scoring is similar to that in Gaelic football, using points and goals separately.
Wexford again knocked out the All-Ireland champions in 1970. Kilkenny won the first 80-minute Leinster final in 1971, but were convincingly beaten by Tipperary in the final.
We had a very good chance of beating them, but on the day Tip got the vital scores and won out, which is, as you say, is a very high-scoring game. And I suppose, I think the final, I think we were beaten by about 3 points in the end.
Tell you, we were beaten by the worst Tip team that ever won in All-Ireland, and it was proven afterwards, should they didn't win one for 17 years after it. We just underraced them and everything went wrong on the day. I've seen the queerest of things happening. I've seen a ball going wide, Ollie walking out over it like that, but he hit a sod behind his heel and into the net. I couldn't believe it. Our name was never on that cup that day.
With his red and white, well peaked.
A great display by Noel Skehan in the replay of the '72 Leinster final, and 17 points from Eddie Kerr in the semi-final against Galway set up the third meeting between Cork and Kilkenny in 7 years.
Liam O'Brien across the would-be pass over the far side of Kieran Purcell, but it's Con Roach way up the field, and Con has set it over the bar from 70 yards from his own goal.
And it looked like the final nail in the coffin, but Kilkenny just rallied at that point and came back and put in, there was about, I think, 15 or 20 minutes to go, and we put in a tremendous run altogether.
Lovely bit of hooking there by Frank Cummins, and a lovely bit of follow-up by Liam O'Brien. Liam O'Brien for Kilkenny up along the wing. Eddie Kerr grabbing that ball into his left hand, and away he goes up the wing. A shot from way out the field. And a goal! Oh, what a goal! What a goal! And this is Eddie Kerr, and that is Brian Murphy of Cork, but he's under pressure. Kieran Purcell with the ball now. Kieran working his way through. He's on the 21, the 14, he's fouled, and there's a free in for Kilkenny. What would you do, chum? Would you be satisfied with the point? You've a long time to go, or would you try for a goal? Here he comes, he's going for a goal. And he's got it! There he is, Eddie Kerr. 2 goals and 5 points of the total to his credit. This is Eamon Morrissey now for Kilkenny from his own 55, again not a long one. And it comes, however, to Frank Cummins. Frank Cummins going soloing up the field now. He's on the 50. It's 40, it's 30, it's 21, it's a shot, and it's a goal! It's a goal! Oh, what a goal! Frank Cummins, the scorer. Ball out to the centre of the field. Pat Henderson upfield to Eddie Kerr. A lovely touch over the head of the Corkman, and then getting the ball across to Kieran Purcell. Kieran Purcell from out the field, and it's another point for Kilkenny.
I remember Cork had a very dangerous forward line anyway, that was number 1. I suppose for 3/4 of that game I saw a lot of the ball, and for the last quarter I saw very little of it. Didn't even think of the speech before the game, the week before the game, or even during the game, or no. Supporters don't give a damn what you say, really. They wouldn't be listening to you anyway. Like, once you have the cup, it's the main thing, like, you know.
Kilkenny played in the next 3 finals, but injuries after the 73 Leinster final probably cost them the chance of matching Cork's unique 4 in a row of the 40s.
Kilkenny played Wexford in the Leinster final that year, and I would say it was the best display I ever seen out of any Kilkenny team. There were certainties for All Ireland. What happened? Kerr got injured, Purcell had his appendix out, and who was Jim Tracy?
Frank without the hurley again, but pounds it very nicely to Liam O'Brien. Liam O'Brien in towards the goal. Mick Brennan going up for it, gets into his hand. A shot that's high, but it's gone. Yes, it's over the bar, it's over the bar. This is Sean Foley. Ball as if stuck to his hurley. Now up to the wing to Joe McKenna. Joe getting up and bringing it down. He takes his shot and it's over the bar. This is Willie Moore. And this is Sean Foley. Intended pass there that didn't go where it was intended. Liam O'Brien coming back. Liam O'Brien high and over the bar. And the sides are level again. Liam O'Donoghue for Limerick. Being chased now by Pat Henderson. Into the centre to Frankie Dolan. Frankie Dolan on the 21, on the 14. A shot and it's blocked down. Noel Snehan is bottled into the goal. The ball is in the net, but yes, it's a goal. It's wet now. The referee has gone up. The ball is in the net. I don't know who scored it. The whole forward.
Limerick beat us now, and that was it. And you know, it's easy to say, you know, if we had everyone, we might have won, but if we had everybody, we might have got a bit more to us. So there's no point in going on that way, like, about it. We're beaten.
We were probably motivated by the fact that we were beaten in 73, and we were out to sort of, I suppose, the motivation in the camp was, you know, we have our full team now, we've got to beat them, and we went out. And I suppose Limerick were at the psychological disadvantage going into 74 as well.
And Pat Hartigan going down for that one. Willie Fitzpatrick now for Kilkenny. And it's the goal! It's a goal! Mick Brennan the scorer. Mick Brennan the scorer. And here it is again. Willie Fitzpatrick across the goal. And there it goes, kicked into the corner of the net. Nicely blocked and held off there by Eamon Cregan. That's Pat Delaney. And is this a penalty? Is this a penalty? It is. And he sends it into the goal. And here it is again. Eddie Kerr bending, lifting and crash into the top of the net. Pat Lawler. And Pat Delaney out on the half-forward line again, with Keaton Purcell in on the full-forward line. And they're trying these. It's a goal! It's a goal! The low ball into the goal. Pat Delaney, the scorer. These low balls in towards the defence that likes them high. Here it is again. Pat Hartigan tries to get his hand to it, doesn't, and the ball dribbles between the legs of Seamus Horgan. And Keaton Purcell now. Over the bar, a point by Kieran Purcell, breaking away from the clatter of hurdles there with that ball and sending it over the bar. Eddie Kerr now. And the way that man does it, he didn't even look to see where the ball was going. He knew it was going right over the bar. Nicky Orr to Pat Lawler, and there goes the final whistle. And Kilkenny are the All-Ireland champions of 1974, deservedly so, brilliantly so, with the score 3 goals and 19 points to Limerick's 1 goal and 13.
Kilkenny won a record 5th Leinster final in a row in 1975.
In the eyes of the Wexford defenders, and Liam missed it. Second goal. And this is Frank Cummins. And that's a point. Very quick point. And that's Colm Dorn. And this is Frank Cummins for Kilkenny. Pat Delaney in there with Willie Murphy. And it's just hit the post. It's gone in. Yes, it's in. This is Colm Dorn. He's moved in centre half back. This is John Murphy for Wexford. John Murphy being upended there by Tom McCormack, but this is Tony Dorn. Tony Dorn. And that's Kieran Purcell doing it again, catching that one out of the air and sending a magnificent point. Magnificent game by this man Purcell. That's his 3rd point.
Kilkenny had now won 3 of the last 4 All-Ireland finals. They met league champions Galway in the first 70-minute final.
Galway played terrible well against Cork in the semi-final. We were all at it, and as a matter of fact, I was in the Cork dressing room after it, and they were fierce down, you know. And they were saying to me, "You'll never beat Galway." I said, "You're probably right," said I. So, you know, we said, I was talking to Damien McElroy. He was a reporter. He collared me coming out, and he said to me, "See, what do you think of Galway?" So I just say a great team, so we'll never beat them, you know. But we worked hard on it. But Galway was after beating us in the league semi-final, or in the semi-final of the league, and I was put off the same day, you know. But that didn't matter. They were going to beat us one way or another, I'd say. And as I said, Michael Murphy, or Sean Murphy, had a great game there in the middle of the field. And he wasn't at the races in the final. The chunk was both of them, you know.
That's Pat Lally, and this is Chunky O'Brien all alone. And a lovely shot from inside the 40 yards, and it's a Kilkenny point by Chunky O'Brien, his 2nd point of the game. A free for Galway from their own 50-yard line, Sean Silk to take it. And what a belt on that ball. PJ Qualter gets it into his hand. Across to Frank Burke in front of the goal. Frank gets shot, the goal! A goal! There it is, there's the man, and let's see how he did it. Here's the ball, a crack, a shot, and into the back of the net. And Chunky not going too far with his soloing today, it doesn't pay too much. And a high ball got up there by Michael Brennan and sent over the bar for a point for Kilkenny. Michael Brennan, who was moved out to right half forward. Oh, lovely fielding there by Brian Cody. What a wonderful young hurler he is. And here comes Michael Crotty now. And this is Eddie Kerr, and that's the goal. Eddie Kerr in the right spot for the pass. Came his way, there it is, the shot, and nobody but nobody could have saved it. It's now 110 to 1-3 in favour of Kilkenny. Can Galway come back now? Michael Crotty takes another shot and it's over the bar for another point. And all this with less than 4 minutes gone in the second half. PJ Qualter pulls on it, but no, out it comes now to John Connolly. John shot a hopping, dangerous ball. Qualter takes a shot and it's a goal! It's a goal! It's a goal! PJ Qualter! PJ Qualter was the one who finished it. Here it comes in from John Connolly. Goes up in the air. PJ Qualter goes up for it, taps it down, and it's in the net. And that keeps this game so much alive. The dropping ball and the waiting man. Liam O'Brien's shot is high and it's over the bar to increase the Kilkenny lead once again. That's Bearden Purcell. And this is Pat Delaney with the ball. He takes a shot and the goalkeeper's got it out. He's got it out. And here's it out the free. It doesn't matter what happens now. It's another penalty. Eddie Kerr said that went in, but there was another penalty. Here it comes. This time it's down. It's a goal. Michael Connolly, and oh, that's the way the cookie crumbles. When things aren't going right for you, things go right for somebody else. And the man who took advantage there was Frank Cummins. What wonderful opportunism. And Mick Lanigan and Johnny McGovern and the Kilkenny mentors delighted with what they see and what they hear, because there goes the full-time whistle.
We had been there for 4 or 5 years in All-Ireland finals, and I'd say the press probably camped over in Galway with all these new players, and with an inexperienced team it probably put a lot of pressure on Galway for that final.
Losing in 75 wasn't all that bad. I mean, we lost to a great Kilkenny team. I mean, the 6 forwards that Kilkenny had that time, I think we'll never see 6 forwards as good as again ever. Each of them, like, you know, could burst through for goals or take scores from any angles. They were just great forwards.
Later in the year, James Stevens won the Kilkenny County Championship, and the following March, Fan Larkin captained the village to win the first club championship for the county.
We were very lucky to be at Buffer's Alley below in Wexford Park in the first round. Georgie's brother Mickey Lahey scored a goal that day, only for that we were bit, you know. And Cody had a great game playing centre back on Dorden, you know. We had an exceptional team, but they had a star-studded team as well, you know.
I think that's 7 or 8 at Cork team plus Frank Cummins, Ray Cummins and all the lads. They were a great team, and they had won a couple of All-Ireland club championships, so that was our first taste of it.
But it was a wicked wet day, windy wet day, and I'd say the winning of the toss had a big deal in it. We won the toss and I was captain and I elected to play again in the wind. The first minute they had a ball in the back of the net.
We were 2-2 to no score down after about 10 minutes. We hadn't registered the score and it looked awful bad. And then we held them to 2 points from there to the end, and we scored 2-10 after that ourselves.
Mylan stuck the ball in the net off a 21, went up off my hand, caught it. It went up off my hand and hit the top of that crossbar and came down up behind it. And after that then we got on top of them.
When I was playing, it was a smaller area that we were involved with, because it was just on the edge of the town really, and very much it wasn't a built-up area or anything like that. But now over the last number of years it's very much a built-up area, and it's become a very big parish. But the great thing is that we have retained a great spirit, and you know, we've always been known as the village.
Despite losing the league final to Clare, Kilkenny beat Wexford in the Leinster final of 78. A place in the final against Cork was at stake in the All-Ireland semi-final against Galway.
Lovely cut. Blocked. It's a goal! A goal! The ball, if anything, was deflected. This is Matt Root getting inside Niall McInerney. Still Matt Root, still Niall McInerney after him. Oh, my elbow. And a nice palm ball into the net. Nice fielding there by Joe Greeny, the youngest player in the Galway team. And what a fine game he's playing. The dropping ball into the hand of Ger Henderson. Ger Henderson out to the wing now to Joe Hennessy. Joe Hennessy way upfield with the ball now, being chased by Joe Connolly. Still Joe Hennessy. Still Joe Hennessy. And a point for Joe Hennessy. A fine point there taken by Joe Hennessy. Here come Galway into the attack. Frank Brennan with Frank Burke with the ball now. Right in front of the goal. A shot. A goal! A goal! Another goal! He may have missed some sitters early on, but what a goal that was. Noelski in with the puck out again. And all alone is Matt Ruth, and here goes Matt. And there goes a goal. Matt Ruth, 2-goal Matt, that's who he is.
The final against Cork was an even contest until a Jimmy Barry Murphy shot was deflected into the net.
Oh, lovely recovery there by Matt, and a nice ball. Dennis Paul and fielding in the goal mouth. The ball is in the net. It's a goal. Here it is again. Here it goes in. In fact, it was Kevin Fennelly who finished it. Pat Henderson got in full back, and going off is Chunky O'Brien. In fact, Pat Henderson not full back, but centre half back. Long ball in towards the goal. Hands going out to him. Jimmy Barry Murphy with the shot that's low. And it's the goal! Jimmy Barry Murphy, the scorer of the goal that can win it all Ireland. Well, look, here's Mick Brennan. Now he's trying to burrow his way in towards Billy Fitzpatrick. It's a goal! It's a goal! Billy Fitzpatrick, the scorer. There he is. I told you this game wasn't over yet. The ball passed across to Billy Fitzpatrick, and there's the low shot that crashed into the net.
And this one we probably left behind us against Cork. Cork were, I think, a tired enough team in '78, having won 2 in a row, and they won 3 in a row that year. And as I say, no disrespect to them, they were a great team to beat Wexford 2 in a row, but we should have been able to take them that year. And it just went wrong on us in this midway through the second half.
I was played full forward in the championship for Kilkenny in '78. We got to the final and we lost out to Cork very, very narrowly. But it wouldn't have been my natural position, certainly. But at the time, or at any time, you don't pick and choose where you play. You get a jersey, you get a Kilkenny jersey or a Village jersey, whatever jersey you get, and you're just dying to get it.
Lack of experience, I reckon. Probably the starting of a new team, and probably the finishing of a few of the older guys from the previous great run at the team. And of course, Cork were going for 3 in a row. They had experience, but there wasn't that much in it in the end, really.
You know, in Cork or in Kilkenny, the defeat of 3 in a row wouldn't have been as readily acknowledged if we hadn't included Kilkenny in our list of defeats in the 3 in a row, and I think when we did that, it finally was the icing on the cake for that team.
1979 was the 10th Kilkenny-Wexford-Leinster final meeting of the decade. In a great game, Kilkenny won and were on their way to a repeat of the 1975 final against Galway.
Here's Matt Root breaking away from Mick Butler. Still Matt Root charging through. Taking the long clearance, he broke away from Mick Butler, and then from an angle, smashed it in past Henry Butler. That's Ger Fennelly to Billy Fitzpatrick. The champions moving well again. Mick Brennan claiming he was pushed off that. Mick Crotty coming way out to the sideline. And the shot from Mick from way over near the sideline, a very difficult angle. Magnificent point by the full forward. To Hennessy, beautifully taken. This is Frank Commons and a shot. This is Billy Fitzpatrick. That's the goal. Frank Commons with the shot. It was parried and then it came to Billy Fitzpatrick here, and he blasted it along the ground to the net. Colm Dorn bouncing away from him. Mick Jacob, his brother-in-law, eventually getting it away. Oh, beautiful fielding by Ger Henderson, and then the long shot. What a magnificent point. This is Mick Jacob for Wexford. There's coolness and confidence by the centre half back. His pass then going to Joe Hennessy. The shot from Joe, it's a beautiful point. That was well done by the midfielder.
And then '79 was the first final I actually played in. again against Galway, and I suppose one of the games you'll always remember, I suppose, because it was your first All-Ireland to play in, and a great occasion. Well, we had people like Eddie Kerr and Pat Henderson involved, and people like that. I suppose they came with a lot of experience themselves.
Henderson there a moment ago, and this team there is Frank Cummins and Mick Crotty pulling him across there, and the man on the right, the littlest man on the field, the oldest man on the field, the lightest man on the field, that's Van Larkin. Now Chunky O'Brien has had a green towel delivered to him from the sideline, that to dry his hands before he takes the 65. A point here could put Kilkenny into the lead. But no, it's not high enough. It's gone in towards the goal. Seamus, it's a goal! It's a goal!
It was a miserable wet day in the early stages, I can remember. We probably got a few lucky breaks with a couple of goals to win the game for us. But it was I suppose it was a team that there wasn't a huge amount expected of. And I suppose those type of All-Irelands are often the best ones to win.
Kind of one we could have lost, you know, one we wouldn't have been writing up before it anyway, like, you know. So Galway had their chances, you know, on the day, I thought myself.
There used to be still in Croke Park there is a shop as you go in under the Hogan, under the QZ stand. It's an off licence. Now I didn't bring it, Paddy Morden brought me to it. That when the match would be over, all those 5 or 6 of us that had just to take a drink after the matches, you know, Chunky, myself, Cloney, Delaney, and Morden, and a few of the Briz lads, Paul Scaney and Slichter. I'd be just gone before half and being off the field anyways, and we'd be gone to that place.
There's no doubt about it that 79 was really shattered us. We went up with great expectations, and I remember coming down the train after the game, and even Nuala, my wife, said that we're never going to win it. And I almost started believing in the curse that was supposed to be on Galway hurling, that we'd never win All-Ireland, and we left at it for so long.
At the time, people felt that, but subsequently they would have been proved wrong, in the sense that the young fellas who came in proved their worth in 82 and 83 and proved to be great players.
Kilkenny man Dermot Healy came to Offaly and helped mastermind the downfall of his native county in 1980.
Players who jumped up for it, Joe Wall, the man who spotted the break and gets the shot and then gets the point. Matt Root here for the champions. Matt Root with the shot, and it's in the back of the net. Oh, Matt Root took that so well. The Offaly backs were converging on him on the right of the large parallelogram. He turned around, and with not very much space to swing his hurley, he got it into the far corner of the net. Brian Cody for Kilkenny, mishitting it. Pádraig Gordon on it now. The shot from Pádraig. That's Johnny Flaherty's goal, and Kilkenny are protesting. But he was inside the square, but I don't think the referee is listening to them.
Only 9,000 supporters were there in total, which is a very low attendance for a Leinster final. And literally that day, Kilkenny were definitely caught on the hop, you know.
I suppose in hindsight, it was a bit fantastic for hurling, as more recent years of Clare and Wexford have been. But it was a great breakthrough brought about by my own very good friend from my own club, Dermot Healy, who played a significant part. In going to Offaly, I suppose, he always felt there was a fair amount of talent there. Probably felt it wasn't being harnessed properly. Maybe there was too much emphasis on the physical side. But he put a huge amount of emphasis on coaching and on stick work and improving the skill of the players, and it certainly paid dividends.
In 1981, Ballyhale Shamrocks gave the lead to small rural clubs by beating St Finbarrs of Cork in the All-Ireland Club Final.
Up to then I'd been dominated probably by really by the like of the Cork teams. We were the first team, the first rural team to win the club championship in 1981. We beat the Bars in the final, which was a great occasion for the parish. The final was played in Thurles, and I recall it was a fabulous game against Finbarrs, who had 15 of the county hurlers playing that day. We had I think the Roadstone lorry lined up to bring us up the streets, and there were great crowds in the street, and it was an occasion to remember. We had no playing field of our own, and it was the Carmelites that gave us a field in Knockturford to train on. Now, we trained on it. It was a good pitch for that, but it's not a field that there were any real games played in because it wasn't up to the standard really. And we had no dressing room, so we used to really tag out under the landis over in the corner and have the chat. For that fact alone, I suppose, was unique to win without any of the big clubhouses and the showers that people have to have nowadays, and the facilities have to be number one nowadays. But in our day, hurling was number one, and that's all it mattered to us really.
In 1982, Kilkenny turned the tide against All-Ireland champions Offaly. Cork, by virtue of their displays in Munster, were hot favourites for the final.
Ironically, it all started maybe down in Kerry, funnily enough, where we were beaten by, or we drew at Kerry in a National League game and just took great headlines, and maybe things started to galvanise from that.
Offaly had won the All-Ireland the year before, and we were a few of us over with them in the States, and they were pretty prepared over there. They trained hard over there, and a week after they coming back, they played us in the Leinster final. And I must say it was one of the greatest games I ever played in. In the latter end, we just happened to come out by 2 or 3 points in the end in an epic game, and we felt when we won that one that we had a great chance to win the All-Ireland, even though Cork would have been absolute firm favourites.
And really we were written off, which I suppose is a grand way to be going to an All-Ireland final, and we were savagely determined, not just as a result of that certainly, but as a result of the fact that we had a decent team and we were being trained at the time by Pat Henderson. We had a great spirit, we had a fine, strong, physically strong team, good team, and we were certainly determined in a major way to try and win it. We had already won the league that year.
This is a better one, good cut. Richie Power going for it. So also Lee Fennelly. Lee Fennelly scoops it in and he scoops it over, and there's the lead for Kilkenny. Paddy Prendergast, who certainly has been lording it over Tony O'Sullivan up to now. This is Richie Power. Richie Power's shot is high. Richie Power's shot is good. Oh, these Kilkenny men, how they've improved this year. John Blake. Frank Cummins. I was going to say all alone, but not for long. A goal! A goal! Frank Cummins sent it in, and it was deflected. And Heffernan, I think, got his hand to it. It was certainly deflected by somebody. In it goes from Frank Cummins right into the goal mouth. It's dropping down and deflected by Christy Heffernan.
Frank Cummins got possession, hit it in, and I was inside Martin O'Doherty, and Ger Cunningham just moved off his line, but I went to catch the ball and it deflected off my hand into the net. There's nobody. Ger was after moving out for the break behind us, but it was only pucked out straight away and to straight back in. So I'd say a minute was there. The replay on the television, I didn't actually get the second part at all because I was showing the replay the first one. It happened so quick. I can barely remember the ball come in and was out and gone and in, and the flag was up again.
Here it is again from a different angle, and the ball going in towards the goal from Frank Cummins, and it was deflected by Christy Heffernan. And now we're back alive, and it's Christy Heffernan again. He's going through. He's getting ready to take a shot, and it is a goal! A goal by Christy Heffernan, and Kilkenny have run amok. Well, the game is on. The second half is on, and Kilkenny out in front, 2-11 to 7 points. Can they stay there? Richie Power into the centre to Ger Fennelly. Still Ger Fennelly. And that point puts them to 12 to 7 points as Ger waltzing his way past 3 or 4 Cork men as if they were nothing at all, stretching the lead to 12 to 7 points. And that was short passing there, Lee Fennelly. A dangerous ball. Ger Fennelly. A goal by Ger Fennelly. The icing in the Kilkenny cake as Ger Fennelly took that one in the wrist of man alive who would have saved it. Here it comes down, comes out now on the loose, and here is Ger Fennelly going through.
When going into an Ireland final, you're always better off to be the underdogs, and you always hope that you'll be the underdogs. I think our performance in the Munster final was exceptional. It was not typical of our performances throughout the year, and suited Kilkenny down to the ground. And we probably thought we were better than we were, and probably the All-Ireland final of '82 was probably one of the most disappointing performances by a Cork team that I had been involved in.
We got caught, obviously. We fell for a big sucker punch and got absolutely destroyed in the All-Ireland final, you know, and there were no excuses really.
I remember distinctly, you know, I was playing in Brian Cody, a young Brian Cody at the time, and an old Ray Cummins. And at one stage, I remember chasing him from his own 21-yard line right down the full field onto the Cork 21-yard line. And I try, like you know, a dog after a pup, if you like, and I'm sure I was half as down the field, and when it struck me that it's time to get out, you know, I retired after that match, you know.
Kilkenny won the double again in 1983. They played with a very strong breeze in the first half of the All-Ireland final, but were only 6 points up at half-time.
Get there. This is Billy Fitzpatrick. Billy is shot across, and it's over the bar for another point. Billy, who really is unsung today. Oh, that's one way of getting a good view. And Billy Fitzpatrick again. John Crowley trying to get at him, but Billy's shot is good. It's over the bar. Another point, his 5th of the game, and that is Kilkenny's 7th. John Crowley to take the line ball. He cuts it, the breeze catches it. Ball goes now to Harry Ryan across into the centre now, and Frank Cummins with the ball going through a shot. No, the shot is knocked down. He tries to get, and it is a goal!
I got a goal about a minute before half-time, and Richie Power got a goal a minute after half-time. We had an extra 6 points on the board in a matter of minutes, so right at each side of half-time, which made the difference probably on the day.
We came out the second half and I wasn't sitting down in my seat, and they scored the 3rd goal, put them 10 points clear. That was hard to draw back, so we just couldn't. We failed by 2 points.
And there's the throw in. The second half is on, and Kilkenny in the attack. Billy Fitzpatrick, Christy Heffernan. Ball breaks now, and it goes to Ger Fennelly into Harry Ryan. Ryan trying to get through, and a shot, and a goal! A goal by Richie Powell, and that's the kind of goal that wins All-Ireland Championships. A hand pass in from Ger Fennelly to Harry Ryan. Harry Ryan tips it on his stick, then hand passes it in, and it's tipped in there by Richie Power, and Kilkenny lead 2-10 to 7 points. They have about 5 minutes in which to save the game. Kilkenny have 5 minutes in which to hold on. Pat Horgan into the goal mouth. It is saved. It's a goal! It's a goal! It's a goal, and I think Sean Leary could be the one that got it. There was another one of these deflected shots. Here is the shot, the 65 by Pat Horgan. It comes into the goal mouth. There's a tussle into the goal. Kevin Hennessy is in there, and Shawnee Leary is the one who finished it. Noel Scheme with the pick out, and they puck out into the centre of the field. John Buckley with the ball now, and a hand pass across to the far side, but the referee penalises him for losing his hurling. Did he drop, or was he robbed? The same question there as there was some time ago with Frank Cummins on the far side of the field. About 2 minutes left of the game, 2 points between them. Ger Henderson, who will not break any track records in taking it. Lobbing ball. Comes out, Tim Crowley throws his everything at it. Tom Cashman now is on the ground, and there's a free for Cork. Cork, wind assisted, and about 50 metres out from the Kilkenny goal, and Pat Horgan takes it. Meanwhile, Tom Cashman is down injured, but the play goes on as Cork try to win it with 14 men, or not to win it so much as to draw level, as they're trying to do at this stage. Ball is out on the far side of the field. Referee has called for the foul.
Between the 82 team and the 83 team, I was the only one not on the team in 83. I had I got my hand broken in an incident in the All-Star trip to America in early part of 83, and by the time I got back and everything was right, I suppose the team had settled a little bit.
And so Liam Fennelly joins his brother Ger as a captain of the Kilkenny winning All-Ireland team.
That particular day was very, very windy. Billy Fitzpatrick had a tremendous day that day. He scored points from all angles, and he even said himself that the umpire waved the flag for ones that are wide.
There was two people that had a great view of that, the umpire and myself, with that ball, and we both agreed it was a very good score now.
In 1984, St Martin surprised the favourites Ballyhale Shamrocks in the county final.
St Patrick's Day 85 then against Castlegar, and Crow Park was always going to be a very big ordeal for our players because none of them had played in Crow Park at senior level. Tom Moran got a goal from a free, which has brought us back into the game, and it ended as a draw. On to Thurles then a week later. We got a few very crucial frees during the hailstorm, about 65, 70 yards out towards the wing on the newsstand side, and Johnny Brennan scored them, and we didn't look back from there to the end, although we only won by the 2 points. The older generation at that time could never have imagined anything like that. Even winning a senior county championship in Kilkenny, they could never have.
Offaly came out of Leinster in 84 and 85 and beat Galway in the 1985 All-Ireland final. Kilkenny beat the All-Ireland champions in the 86 Leinster final and played Galway in the semi-final.
We had already played a league final in 86 against Kilkenny in Thurles, and we found that they were very, very strong midfield, strong physical team. And we sat down the following Monday week after the league final and we tried to analyse how we were going to beat them, because we figured they would come out of Leinster. They were the strongest team around. And midfield we felt was a problem. We had one anchor man as such, Steve Mahan, at the time, and we were looking for another. And we tried every combination in training throughout the, out the club championship, but nothing was happening. So we're just saying maybe if we just change the policy altogether, play 3 midfields. Now at that stage it'd be very, very new and play 2 on the full forward line, but we had 1 or 2 forwards coming through at that stage that people didn't know about. Joe Cooney was really blossoming as such. Martin Nocton was coming with pace.
Steve Mahan has been very influential in midfield. That ball knocked forward by Pierce Spigot to Joe Cooney, to the on-running Anthony Cunningham. Must be a goal. It's there. It's Galway's second goal, and Anthony Cunningham has got
It was simple in the sense that if we got the ball outside, if the Kilkenny cornerback came out, we hit it into space. If he didn't come out, we had to carry it and use an overlap that we had outside, or hit it into a man that was marked. Now, while it was easy work in training, we just felt maybe in the match itself it might not work, but as it happened, like, you know, it worked beyond the dream.
We were probably caught on the hop that day. Galway had so many goals slapped in, we didn't know where we were. By half time, they were leaking, the ship was leaking everywhere. And the harder we tried, the worse it got.
And I was after being brought on with about 10 minutes to go, I suppose, and the game was well lost at the time, I suppose, wanted to keep me happy, you know the way itself. And this woman was going up in front of Bernie anyway. I said, geez, she says, I knew we were better than seeing Fitzpatrick coming out with 10 minutes to go. I said, I knew the game was up then, she said, you know. I think Bernie had a few words with her, I think.
Kilkenny and Galway met in the 87 All-Ireland final.
It's a very good substitutes bench with PJ Malloy in there too, Tony Kilkenny and 1 or 2 others. Ollie Kilkenny, Christy Heffernan stopping, but it's Jerry McInerney following up, down towards Martin Nocton, trying to let it run on, comes to Brendan Linsky, on the 40, inside, as they so to Anthony Cunningham, trying to break open the Kilkenny defence, and at last we seem to be having a bit of real play.
And going into the final against Kilkenny, it was the same old story. Well, the pressure was on. Third time in, if we're going to lose this time, you know, we'd be kind of shot forever as such. There's no doubt about it, there was pressure. The morning of the game, it was pouring rain. We'd always go to the Phoenix Park for a puck round, and this was the dilemma of Galway Hurling. We couldn't handle the rain. And I kept reminding the lads, look, we had played Cork in the rain. In the semi-final we had beaten them, so why not Kilkenny?
It's good running by Harry Ryan, if he can get inside. Sylvie Linane, the chip shot, oh, it's a lovely point. Harry Ryan's first point means the sides are level again. Sean Fennelly will have something to say about that, as the match is just a minute and a half left. Tony Cleedy from outside his own 65-metre line, and that now is certainly a point which Copper-Fossens Galway's possession.
In 1991, Glenmore became the 4th Kilkenny club to win the Club All-Ireland.
Georgie Lahey was training us that time. Georgie was a great trainer. Great trainer. Other people have different ideas, but I thought he was a great man to keep players' feet firmly on the ground and concentrate on their game. He always said to us, the one thing I'll never forget him always saying, what happened yesterday is history. The final then we played Patrick's Well. There was only one goal in it, just after half time. A ball came in and I scored a goal after it. But they had a few chances now, good chances of points to hit wide. All men were crying that day. That was the day, I'd say, the biggest day for the small parish. There's only one pub and a shop in it, in church, that's it. There's school up the road, and I said the total population of the parish is probably less than 1,000 people. I came back to Glenmore in '87, and I took up a job working in Waterford, selling insurance for New Ireland Insurance Company. And both myself and Ray started our own company then later that year called Hurling Insurances, and we're going still.
In '91, Wexford should have beaten Kilkenny. That's the 90s was quite good in the early 90s. DJ ran 477 steps with the ball and kicked the ball into the back of the net and got a goal. And a lot of Wexford fellas were questioning the referee in the day, and quite rightly so, because he did. And in fact, I will say as well, he pushed Liam down in the back to win the ball. But more luck to him, that's part of the game.
DJ Carey kicking! Oh, it's got a goal! It's got a goal! Kilkenny are in front! DJ Carey!
After 3 years of Offaly dominance in Leinster, Kilkenny were back on the All-Ireland trail once more in 1991.
As well, I think it will, because John Power has moved from the centre forward position now towards the wing, and they got one particular pass for the second point and scored a beautiful point. DJ Carey picking up the break up towards Christy Heffernan, possibly fouling Colin McGillon in the process, giving it inside to Adrian Rodden. Yes, unstoppable. Half blocked down, goes back out to Liam McCarthy. That pressure that Eamon Cregan was talking about, that nervousness, very evident in the Dublin defence. They've paid the penalty for it, because that's John Power's third point. Richie Power to DJ Carey. Beautiful score.
Then Michael Phelan and the two O'Connors and Pash O'Neill was on stream, and DJ and Adrian Ronan and Liam Walsh. You could go down through the whole list of it, and Liam Fennelly and Richie and Christie and John Henderson, they stayed along to guide us along, you know.
The '89 All-Ireland finalists Antrim were the opposition in the semi-final.
This is pulled forward, Aidan McCarry. Putting across to corner forward Jim Close. And Kilkenny get the first ball out. Up towards big Christy Heffernan, Eamon Morrissey, Liam McCarthy inside. And certainly Eamon Morrissey has a goal-scoring opportunity here. He has to, he does! After 26 seconds of play, Eamon Morrissey to score for Kilkenny. Liam Fennelly trying to get inside Dominic McKinley, giving it out to Christy Heffernan, and a good save by Gallagher again. Breaks inside, Eamon Morrissey, it's in the net. An effort by DJ Carey, he's placing it very carefully, an indication that he's going to try and put it over. It's going to be some score if he scores it. Not his best by any means, but it comes to big Christy Heffernan, to Eamon Morrissey. They can't allow him swing now. Has a go, and it's gone over. Eamon Morrissey.
It was then a case of all rivals Tipperary in the All-Ireland final. The game wasn't a classic, and a miss-hit 21 yards free by Michael Cleary was the turning point.
Liam Fennelly causing problems, and he's put it over the bar. There's just a point in it.
A lot of the players were very young, and we were concerned that going in against Tipperary, who were a more experienced team than us, they had won an All-Ireland just a couple of years previous to that. We felt that they had a bit more experience than us, and we were afraid that the day might pass our younger players by.
I got a goal against Wexford, kicked goal. We struggled through it. Dublin should have beaten us in the Leinster final. The game against Antrim, we got 2 points in the last 2 pucks of the game, really, to beat them. So we were struggling.
To the delight of the Kilkenny fans, the long clearance. Colin Bond under pressure from DJ Carey. Carey raiding inside on his favourite left-hand side, and he's put over the bar for another point. 3 points in the match now for DJ Carey. That's the first from play, and Kilkenny now lead by 2. Bill Hennessy under it against Nicky English. He's done really well against English and kept him scoreless. Indeed, as we've said already, the entire Tipperary full forward line yet to score. Morrissey against Michael Ryan, having difficulty picking it up, taking the shoulder from Bobby Ryan with great confidence. Oh, that's a super point by Eamon Morrissey. He beat his man. He took the shoulder that came in from Bobby Ryan perfectly fairly, stood his ground, and with unerring accuracy sent it over the bar to put 3 points between the teams. John Henderson back on his goal line. The Henderson brothers hold 11 All-Ireland medals between them at senior level. Pat with 5, John and Ger with 3 each. And now John having the chance to get a 4th this afternoon. Meanwhile, the other John Lahey. Nicky English with a fine catch against Bill Hennessy, who was holding him out, and Nicky English engineers the free. So a chance for Michael Cleary to extend Tipperary's lead once again to a 2-point lead. He's got a goal! A goal! A speculative shot by Michael Cleary. The opening goal of the match comes after 10 minutes. We were saying there's never been a Tip Kilkenny final without a goal. Well, that was right out of the blue. In towards Christy Heffernan. Breaks down. Picked up by Fennelly. They need a goal badly. Stopped. Runs loose. And in the end, it's Colin Bonner. Right on his own Glen line. So near and yet so far for Kilkenny. It's all over and Tipperary have won the All-Ireland.
A few decisions went against us, refereeing decisions went against us. Even the goal that Tipperary got, Michael Cleary took a free, and everybody in Tipperary tell you the same, that it wasn't even a free.
We huffed and puffed through the championship that year. We beat Dublin in the Leinster final, and we didn't play well as such, and Antrim could have taken us in the semi-final. And we were really lambs for the slaughter for the All-Ireland. Tip had a settled team, and they were after having big battles with Galway the previous couple of years. And they had Pat Fox and Nicky English and the whole lot, like, and Ollie tried to instill into us all that we were good enough to go ahead and win the game, but we were young and I suppose inexperienced and the whole lot, like, and it was a day that we kind of really out-hurled Tipperary big time that day and didn't put scores on the board. Comini said, I have a jersey for you, he said, in here, and I want you to wear it. And he said, it's not 5 or 7. And I said, I hope it's not 27, but he said, no, he said, it's number 11.
I was 10 years of age and I sat on my father's knee in the Nally stand, and outside me on that day, right corner back, was Fan Larkin, and in goal was Ollie Walsh.
First time I went to a dentist, it was to the clinic, and it was Ollie Welsh was driving the ambulance. And sure, I mean, having a tooth taken out, I'd have gone the following day to have another one taken out.
I never heard him criticise a person. He never called it back in and said, "You, so why didn't you do this or that?" It wasn't his nature. He just took it and went on with it.
It's ironic that at 10 years of age, that down the road, and I couldn't obviously see it at that stage, that I was to be involved so closely with both of those players, Fan as a player and Ollie as a manager.
He was a family man first and foremost. He looked after his father and his mother in their later years before their deaths and so forth. Olive, his lovely wife, and his children were paramount in his life.
Came in one wet night and I think I was late there, and he said, "You're the only man with sense." He said, "Go in there and sit down."
He was highly intelligent in his placing of the ball. He had a tremendous sidestep. And people still talk in Kilkenny of kids going behind the goal to watch this man.
Chasing after is Brendan Keogh. Good harassment by Galway. Comes back to Adrian Ronan. Dropping it dangerously in and well gathered by Tom Hillibert. Well dispossessed, DJ Carey. Difficult angle. And Richard Burke satisfied to just tap it over the bar. Really, he could do nothing else with it. Willie O'Connor losing out to Justin Campbell. And Justin Campbell gathers it nicely. Cutting through. Goal opportunity. Oh, what a goal! Campbell from Kiltormer. And we can confirm that Pat Malone is concussed at the moment, but is not being taken to hospital. So we're glad to hear that much at least. We wish him a speedy recovery. And being very well looked after as Jamesy Brennan comes in, and the shiner begins to sparkle. He's hardly in 30 seconds or so. He gets a point. John Power showing that they've handballers down that part of the country as well. Again, DJ Carey giving it inside. Ian Finlay coming across. Richard Burke has to come out to clear. When he gets to the short distance, and Liam McCarthy puts it in. Liam McCarthy from Piltown, and the Kilkenny women.
And having performed pretty good against Tipperary in All-Ireland, we felt there was definitely one All-Ireland at least in this squad. So we regrouped after the All-Ireland final. We went away for a short break. Ironically, we simply went as far as Clare for a long weekend. And I believe that the success was sown in Clare for the following 2 years.
Kilkenny were back to face Cork, whom they had beaten in 82 and 83. The wet and windy conditions spoiled the game, but didn't hamper DJ Carey, and Kilkenny won their 24th title.
Always influential, tapping it nicely. Volleys are out here. Frank Murphy bringing the Cork umbrella for the Michael O'Brien there with a kind of Alaska type jacket on his shoulders. Nicely inside towards Jamesy Brennan, played set up, trying to thunder his way through. Ball's gone well, it's not the referee signal. It's a penalty, I think, for that dangerous challenge on Jamesy Brennan.
It'll be interesting to see what Kilkenny do there. Will they go for a goal playing against the breeze? They're only 3 points down, and you wonder what they're going to do at this stage.
I think Jeremy's a bit concerned about the ball being perhaps too dry.
I think he was concerned about the ball being trying to drive the goal, Jerry, fresher ball.
Happened once or twice before, Jimmy.
I think it did.
All right. Well, this isn't the Munster final of several years ago. This is DJ Carey at a significant stage of the match coming up to hit the penalty.
Playing with wind is one thing. Playing with wind and rain is really difficult for free taking, for striking the ball. Basically, both had gone for the second half. You know, now you'd say going out, well, we have no wind, so we have no wind advantage. But we only went in at half time, 2 points down. Great advantage coming out for the second half.
If you get a score, I can't explain it. You ask any other players, when you come out from the goal after getting a score, the crowd, the noise of the crowd, there's a humming in your ears. It's probably adrenaline, or call it what you like, but the crowd just goes like that. It's like turning the volume of the radio up and down in your ear like that, coming out after getting a score with the crowd roaring. I came in on the pitch that day and I gave the thing to the referee, but it was almost as if that sound was there. Every step like that, turning the radio up and down.
Meanwhile, Shawnee McCarthy batting it down at the centre of the field. Well fed back by Michael Phelan to Pat O'Neill. A day for rolling up the sleeves and doing the simple things well by both teams. In towards Big Christie. Being marked in there by Dennis Mulcahy. John Parr foraging. John Parr breaking through. And John Parr scoring! Just about 3.5 minutes of the second half.
Frank Cummins had that as well. When I came on first, Frank gave me great confidence. And he said, look, he said to me, Christy, boy, it's like going up to Mullavat. Same thing, he said. It's a great green field. You can do it up there, you can do it up here, he said.
So Shawnee McCarthy, who's taken over the free-taking duties from Brian Corcoran. Again hitting on his left-hand side, and again finding the range quite superbly. That's 3 points now for Shawnee McCarthy. 8 points his tally in this year's championship, and as you see, there's just a point between the teams. 3 from 3 his figures in the game, 3 attempts to getting a score. Kilkenny's DJ Carey, shouldered by Jim Cashman. Again DJ, fleet-footed and sticking it over the bar. Expertly taken score, rallying his side now. And a real competitive All-Ireland hurling final, with Eamon Morrissey trying to make some room for himself. Hesitation there by Pat Buckley and by Dennis Walsh, and the profit there gained by Liam McCarthy. They've shown their full hand at this stage, having introduced their 3 second-half subs, but it's Pat O'Neill who continues to defy them time and again. Towards Phelan, they have the look of a winning team, and Michael Phelan has dropped it over the bar. It's a very proud moment for Liam Fennelly. The McCarthy Cup goes back to Northside. It'll be back at the Marble City tomorrow night. Kilkenny, the champions of 19...
Ger captained the Kilkenny 21 team, 74 Kevin captained it, they won it both times. 76 Sean captained the winning minor team, the only minor we won actually, so you know we were lucky that in Kilkenny the system is the winning club nominates the winning captain. Then Ger captained the senior team in 78 or 79 to win the All-Ireland, and I was captain in 83. And Frank Hoolan was captain of the winning league team, I think it was around that period as well, and I was captain of the league team in 83 as well, and Sean captained the league team I think in 1990, and I captained the Kilkenny senior team winning the McCarthy Cup in 92. So we've had a good run as captains of the team, so and long may it continue with maybe Henry Sheffield someday.
93 was a magnificent game, one of the finest games the Hurling ever seen in Croke Park.
This is Liam Simpson calmly taking it around Story, making the clearance, still no score. Tom Dempsey played well at midfield last Sunday, dropped in towards Scallon. Story, here's Scallon, stopped brilliantly, and Michael Walsh has made a great save. It's gone for a 65, but just as in the drawn match, Michael Welsh comes to Kilkenny's rescue with a tremendous early save.
Well, again, a bit of uncertainty in the Kilkenny full backline here, and the ball breaks loose here. Martin Storey doesn't take that well. The ball breaks loose. Damon Scallon, in the first time shot landed on, but again, brilliant save by Michael Walsh, who has been outstanding all season for Kilkenny. Knocks out for a 65.
Whelan battling in there with Sean Whelan. Now Keown coming forward, the wing back. The replacement wing back for Liam Welsh. On towards John Parr. Hand pass forward towards the full forward PJ Delaney. Delaney in a scoring position. It's a goal!
Well, great play here by Liam Keown. He really made this goal. Great tackling play on the half-back line. Hand pass to John Parr, who's so influential again last Sunday. We're always looking for his teammate who's available. Spots PJ Delaney inside. Under pressure here, gets outside his man, and a great left-handed shot in the conditions right along the ground. Great score for Kilkenny.
Up towards Eamon Morrissey, hasn't made the switch yet into full forward. Doesn't need to. He's lost his boot. Dropping it across. It's in! DJ Carey. Morrissey provided the fodder, lost the boot, but created the opening.
Great ball again from John Parr. I know keep on about it, gives great ball inside to the forwards. Eamon Morrissey actually loses his boot here, but a good dangerous ball into the defence. DJ Carey never takes his eye off it. That's a tremendous goal. Great corner forwards goal.
Kilkenny put another 2 All-Ireland titles back-to-back in 92 and 93 at the expense of the tribesmen.
Bill Hennessy, players calling for it all around him. Bill on his way through. John Parr supporting. Out towards Morrissey, runs on his head to Liam McCarthy. Tight wins forward to the bar. So Ricky Burke pucking out. The wind at his back, remember. Getting plenty of length into it, right down in there between half-backs and full-backs. And again it's Pat O'Neill. Huge delivery inside. And it runs on there to PJ Delaney. 2 Galway players went for the 1 ball, and it's a great save by Richie Burke. And Ronan finishes it to the back of the net. A goal by Adrian Ronan. Only 9 minutes gone. He makes the habit of getting good scores.
Well, good play by PJ Delaney here, but he'd be very relieved that Adrian Ronan was following in here, because goalkeeper makes a good save here, but just knocks it out to Adrian Ronan, who's following in, and a great corner forwards goal there, following in the play.
Running back there is Paul Cooney. It breaks out to Eamon Morrissey. Murty Killalay putting in the challenge. Wrestled Morrissey, allowed an advantage, and Kilkenny got another point. They stretched the lead to 3 points once again. Morrissey's second score.
For the first 15 minutes we went through Galway, you know, handy enough like as such, and we opened up a lead, and we found ourselves, I suppose, relaxing a bit, and they came back into the game and really put the game up to us.
Liam Welch coming into the centre. Liam McCarthy, I should say. McCarthy outside here to Adrian Ronan. Ronan on his way once again, stopped there by Paul Cooney. Bill Hennessy picking it up. On his left-hand side, looking for the score, and Bill Hennessy drives it over the bar. A score by Bill Hennessy, extending Kilkenny's lead to 3 points in the 6th minute of the second half. For the equalising score, played inside, it's Eddie O'Connor is there first. Mistakes been made, but it's as you'd expect in finals. That's Liam Burke, making a great save as Michael Welsh
again, great play here by Galway, and you see Michael Walsh here, brilliant save.
Justin Campbell there against Willie O'Connor. Instead it's Michael Phelan who goes back, followed it all the way, made it his. Down towards Adrian Ronan. Paul Cooney trying to get it out. This is John Parr. John Parr 45 metres out, and that's a lovely score. A first point by John Parr. Eddie O'Connor letting the ball run away to Michael Phelan. Porrick Kelly dashing in there, looking for a score, and he's put it over, and they're level yet again. It would be very hard luck at this stage if either of these teams was to lose it. Adrian Ronan running on for it against Paul Cooney, getting in his shot nonetheless. Ball in towards PJ Delaney to finish off this tie. He's got it! PJ Delaney!
Well, again, Adrian Ronan does very well here, under pressure from the Galway defence, and knocks in a very high ball. PJ Delaney sees it going in over the defender's head, gets in right behind him, and beats the advancing goalkeeper. One-handed knocks in, a tremendous goal by PJ Delaney.
Towards Bill Hennessy, cross towards Adrian Ronan, runs on instead to DJ Carey, trying to open up the play. PJ Delaney had spotted away on the far side. That's good, does well to go by Martin Delaney, and he's fired it over to lead by 4 points, and the match is in injury time. Kilkenny looking for title number 25. McCarthy has it. He runs on to DJ Carey, 20 metres out, and that's another. All of a sudden, it's all Kilkenny. PJ Delaney has been replaced by Christy Heffernan, just to give Christy a piece of the action. Ollie calling for one last effort from his team. Liam Burke onto it, but flicked away very intelligently by Pat Dwyer, showing great skill. The final piece of action, it's all over. Kilkenny retain the title. And Liam Keown wants to hold on to the ball as his little souvenir. Well, what a tie it turned out to be. Galway giving it everything. Kilkenny coming back magnificently.
Midway through the second half, we were down and struggling, but two great occasions.
Eddie O'Connor made a famous speech that day and about the players getting a holiday and being looked after, properly looked after. That was 1993. We're 10 years later, and now we're only getting the players are probably only getting what they should rightfully get then.
Kilkenny had a good win over Clare in the 95 league final, but were well beaten in the Leinster final by Offaly. All-Ireland champions Wexford were the favourites going into the 97 Leinster final.
It's Charlie Carter. Ger Cush has been really taken way out of position this afternoon. That's a great score. Charlie Carter's first point. Larry O'Gorman an option as well. Oh, a terrible ball straight to Peter Barry. Mishit it, however. Eugene Furlong has lost it as well. Charlie Carter in after it. A series of errors here. And in front of goal. PJ Delaney. In the 37th minute of the first half, deep in injury time, as a result of some errors, it's PJ Delaney who sticks it away past Damien Fitzhenry, and now it looks a great deal better for Kilkenny. Just when Wexford should have had a chance at the other end and probably should have put it over the bar, Kilkenny have come back and stolen a march on their great old rivals. The face of Liam Dunn from Oulart the Ballach. Wexford champions twice in recent years. Down it goes, in towards Billy Byrne with his first touch, but he scored! Substitution! There he is again, Billy Byrne! The first ball they played to him, and he sticks it in the net. He's an amazing player. Yes, indeed. Hugs and kisses on Hill 16.
But I couldn't quibble with the second half. I thought Wexford sorted out the problems that were there in the first half from their perspective. Their defence tightened up. They started to get a grip in midfield, and really our defence found it difficult to cope, although they did, I must say in fairness, very good in the circumstances.
That year saw the start of the backdoor system.
You could go back in and play again in the qualifiers, climb in, and we had a fantastic game against Galway and Thurles. Probably one of the greatest games I've been involved in now.
Michael Phelan, DJ Carey, buzz of expectation when he gets it. Carries it on and he scores!
Oh, super goal. We showed glimpses like during the first half when Galway got the run on the team and opened up a big score. Like
I can recall going in that there was a number of Kilkenny people baying for blood. A few of us were certainly not being greeted in the most pleasant manner going in. But
like DJ came out in the second half, and I was involved myself in the second half, and we kind of shook it up a bit. And Galway were young that day.
To the unmarked Andy Comerford, huge one downfield. DJ's in there waiting. A goal! DJ Carey, brilliant! This is a superb match. DJ's got 2-5. Time to jump for joy again. All of a sudden, just 2 points between them. Again, it's picked up here. Charlie Carter still soloing forward. Nicely in for Phelan. They've got another! Kilkenny are in front.
it's just one of those things that happens. I think Kilkenny is renowned for making comebacks anyway, and maybe it is something that's bred into us maybe as hurlers in Kilkenny. I'm not sure, but that was one day where we certainly redeemed ourselves big time in the second half.
We can't understand this bird cage. That's what I call it, bird cage. And then they have a plaster across the nose, right? What's this for? To keep the nostrils open or what? But then the gloves based it on. The first I see wearing one of them was DJ Carey. Well, we can't understand now. I see match with Kilkenny up there. Who were they playing? And DJ ran in 50 yards nearly from the middle of the field with the ball the whole way and tapped it into the net. And then, Jesus, so that's not, you know what I mean? You won't do it in rugby, will you? You hardly do it in soccer. There's hard that, I tell you, the goalie in soccer to be often bowled over, don't it?
Kilkenny played Galway and Thurles in what was a truly epic game of real quality hurling. You know, Galway raced into a massive lead and Kilkenny came back and DJ was on fire and they played fantastic hurling. And they beat Galway in the end. But it was at the end of a truly great, it was probably the game of the year nearly that year, as far as beautiful textbook hurling was concerned. It was a game you could show again and again to anybody. And we went into Kilkenny, play Kilkenny in Croke Park, and we just blew them off the field in the first half with, I suppose, the 35 minutes of best hurling that we ever played, probably. I remember Adrian Ronan was in goals, and Eddie O'Connor, of course, being such a wit, was there playing cornerback. And someone said something to Adrian Ronan, and Ronan said, what did he say? And Eddie O'Connor turned around to him and he said, don't bother pucking it out. Clare was so dominant.
To make an impression at centre half forward. Good movement here, O'Connell, Leslie across here. Chance for Hegarty. Oh, it's stopped, it comes back out to the Sparrow, and it's finished. What a great start for Clare. Meanwhile, the Clare captain, Anthony Daly, straight at Philly Larkin. Moves away from the would-be challenge. Good ball in, high and over the bar. Exactly what the Cats have required. DJ Carey trying to advance. Still DJ on the ground, great ball to Charlie Carter. Brian Lohan getting back goal side, Charlie to take it at him. The angle awkward, but he makes little of it, and it's a wonderful score by Charlie Carter, his first of this match. That's PJ Delaney goes down to DJ Carey, getting away from Daly. Still DJ. That's what they've needed, and Kilkenny are back in this, and it's taken the brilliant DJ Carey to get it for them.
He's a different sort of player to everybody else. His eye and his vision, and he'd have actually my positional sense and the whole lot. He'd have that read before you have it read yourself. He'd know where to come into. He'd exactly know what the whole lot was going on. And I suppose people didn't realise that DJ, he's a lot hardier than people imagine.
In '98, Kilkenny reversed the '95 Leinster final result against Offaly.
Offaly boys early in this match. Great block down. Superb by Kevin Martin. Cleared by Michael Dignan.
Up towards Willie O'Connor and Darren Hannafy. Coming through is John Troy. He paces to Dermody. Goal number 1 by the maestro from Lesma in County Offaly. Barry Wheelahan underneath it. 2 Kilkenny forwards chasing after him. Here's Kevin Keenan. Gets it inside to Charlie Carter. Offaly defence exposed. Charlie! The sides are level within the space of 24 seconds. Kilkenny rejoice. What John Troy can do at one end, you ask who could finish here? Charlie Carter can. My guess is he'll put it over the bar, judging by the stats. And again he goes for the goal. And again, is it in? The umpire signals. Well, DJ Carey can only be described as a genius because, like me, I think the Offaly defence anticipated by his stance that he was going to take his points.
Waterford had been making good progress under Gerald McCarthy, even if losing the Munster final, and they met Kilkenny in the All-Ireland semi-final.
Andy Comerford should be the first score of the match, and it is. Finally, after over 5 minutes play, DJ Carey in there with the challenge. Pendergast coming after it in his debut match. Mishits it somewhat, hit it into the ground, took the sting off it, and Landers makes the save on the clearance. Back by Philly Larkin. Here's Charlie Carter. Man who got all of Kilkenny scores the last day in the Leinster final, and he's off the mark here with a simply brilliant score. DJ Carey. Oh, a great stop. They're in after it again. Landers gets it away the second time. Best save of the match so far. Might have been the first goal of the game. It's out by Stephen Frampton, only as far as Brian McAvoy, and he's put it over the bar. Wonderful skill, great excitement. DJ Carey's about to take the free inside the 45-metre line. Just 1 free successfully converted from 5 so far. Will this be the first point of the second half? DJ hits it in low. PJ Delaney's after it. And that's a goal! Niall Maloney. In the 4th minute of the second half. A real lift for the Kilkenny fans. Hoping to see their side be far more explosive and dynamic in front of goal. DJ hit it low, deliberately so it seems, in there into the inside forward line, and Maloney got onto it quickly. Watch the number 14 coming across here, hitting it well and sweeping it beyond Brendan Landers.
The 1998 All-Ireland saw the unusual pairing of 2 Leinster teams in the final. Offaly were the underdogs, as they had lost the Leinster final a few weeks earlier to Kilkenny.
Pressure applied once again here. Joe Erity this time. Erity going in like a train. But steamroll his way through and he scored! It's a goal for Offaly. Kenny O'Shea here taking his chance. Martin Hanamy's after him. He hits it and he hits it well. That's 2 points now in this match for Ken O'Shea. He'll be delighted. They're absolutely thrilled. 3 between them once again. Also notice there that John Ryan has come in place of Johnny Dooley for Offaly. So lots of changes and switches very, very late in the match as both teams try to turn it their way. John Troy nicely on towards John Ryan. Nicely in here towards Erity, the man who got the goal earlier on. Coming forward again, missing it this time, and it's a goal! Brian Whelan has done it! Brian Whelan has made it 2:15 to 1:13 with 2 minutes to go.
98 was unusual because it was the first year that a beaten Leinster finalist or a beaten provincial finalist came back into it, and actually Offaly turned it around and beat us in the All-Ireland final. So that was, you know, reasonably hard to take in some ways, you know, that we had beaten them already.
Would I like to be a Kilkenny man? And would I like to have been born in a county like this? And I have to say, I probably would. I probably would have liked to be involved in a place that loved the game that I love so much. Because my people in Wexford don't love this game as much as I think they actually say they do, because if they did, we would be better than we are. And that's not a disrespect for my own people, because They're trying to love everything. They're trying to love football and hurling, and they're trying to satisfy all masters. And that's the difference. Kilkenny do not satisfy all masters. And why should they? You know, why should they? And it drives me mad when fellas say, like, oh, sure, I don't play football, but sure, Nick Faldo doesn't play tennis.
Too many counties talk a good story without actually delivering it on the ground. Ultimately, it's about getting down into the field, getting organised, getting good people to look after your development squads, your underage teams, and making sure that that process is carried out in a professional manner to an agreed standard, and I think then counties can deliver more.
Surprised by Offaly in the '98 final, Kilkenny were in the right frame of mind for the 1999 Leinster final.
Work here by Brian McAvoy. McAvoy been given an advantage, referee says play on, he does, he belts it and he whips it over the bar. Brian McAvoy had a very good start to the All-Ireland final on Brian Wheelahan, has got the first point of the match here. There was a jersey pull there, I think, by Henry Shefflin on Kevin Martin. Here's John Power, stepping in beautifully, going around Keenahan. Opportunities, DJ Carey, a goal opportunity, and it's there! DJ Carey, who else? 20 minutes gone. The first goal of the game. Kilkenny have looked the more likely to score goals in this match. Brian McAvoy. DJ's in after it, and he's buried it! It's the third goal for Kilkenny in the 35th minute. DJ Carey's second goal of the first half, and it's 3-7 to 8 points. It was ominous once that ball was raining in there in front of Stephen Byrne. Martin Hannamy there as well, but look at the flick here, beautifully done by DJ Carey. Eamon Kennedy getting it back downfield towards Ken O'Shea. This time it's taken away by Simon Wheelahan. Brian McAvoy here. Support outside through Ken O'Shea, going right through the defence once more. Still McAvoy. Oh, it's ended up on the back of the net. Another Kilkenny goal. What a day. 4 minutes into the second half. And virtually Kilkenny's second attack, and that produces a fourth goal. Comerford having difficulty getting it onto his stick. Not the Offaly crowd's favourite, for obvious reasons. Ken O'Shea winning that one. DJ with a lovely hand pass to Henry Shefflin. It's a fifth. End of the comeback, if there ever was to be one.
The semi-final against Clare was a repeat of the '97 clash at the same stage, which Clare had won easily.
Well, here is the big man himself, full-back in last year's All-Ireland final. Disappointment that day for Kilkenny. It's his 25th championship match, and a huge one from O'Neill, dropping it right in there towards John Paul. Runs on, Ken O'Shea! A goal in the very first minute. What a start! Ken O'Shea, a dream start for Kilkenny, and that after about 40 seconds play. Well, straight from that huge free from Pat O'Neill, which wasn't dealt with properly by the Clare backs. And to date, Clare set up an awful lot more chances than Kilkenny as we watch this one draw in there and taken by the goalkeeper Davy Fitzgerald out towards Anthony Daly. John Power knocked back and pushed over the bar. That's the score that Kilkenny requires. It comes from John Power. And they do so. Barry Murphy pushed by Canis Brennan inside here. Colin Lynch will move forward. Here's a chance for McNamara. It's swept in, it's a goal! Stephen McNamara, he's made a habit of getting goals in critical moments, in crisis situations. He's done so again. 17 minutes into the second half. Now look at the scoreline. Just a point in it. McNamara once again, but Lynch was involved. A balancing act by the number 13 to beat McGarry. It's tense. Brian Cody with a word there for Dennis Byrne, the man about to take the sideline ball. I think both managers are probably living on their nerves right now. So are all the fans. Place in the final against Cork at stake. Beautifully in, and DJ Carey's in the clear. Oh, it's a great goal! Only DJ could do that.
We set a big standard going through Leinster, and we disposed of Clare in the All-Ireland semi-final and gave a great exhibition, and we didn't bring that form to Croke Park to play a young Cork team that day, and I suppose the wettest day an All-Ireland final was ever played.
The 99 final against Cork in wet conditions was a poor, low-scoring game.
To get away from Andy Comerford. Landers, the captain, striking and putting it over the bar. At last a point arrives in this All-Ireland final, but it's taken 7 minutes. Mark Landers from Killa making a point for Cork, no score for Kilkenny. Good vision here by Fergal McCormack to find Mark Landers. Saw him out of the corner of his eye, I'm sure. He got away, Landers from Comerford, and that's the first score. Henry Shefflin and DJ Carey have switched in the last couple of seconds. DJ now is in it full forward. That's Henry contesting. This is John Parr. Fed forward to the young man with the green helmet. And he swung this one in beautifully and he's put it over the bar. The switch working straight away. That move to bring Shefflin out to right half forward. And he's got his third point, the first from play, and the sides are level. That's a wonderful catch by Peter Barry. Wonderful skill. Inside to Andy Comerford, just getting enough latitude now to get away from Alan Brown, who's flagging somewhat as Comerford takes it forward on his left-hand side. That's a tremendous score. An Andy Comerford special. 2 points in the match for Andy. Every time Cork come back and get within a couple of points, Kilkenny have the facility to come back and widen the gap once more. 3-2. Here's Timmy McCarthy. Andy Comerford chases after him. The young man from North Cork to Joe Dean, running in there to the challenge of Peter Barry. Hand pass to Ben O'Connor, looking for enough room, gets enough accuracy on it as well, and Cork take the lead through Ben O'Connor, his first point of the match. Fergal McCormack still running, still chasing, McAvoy still dominating. Inside there it goes towards the substitute. PJ Delaney trying to get enough room inside towards DJ. DJ Carey trying to run into the goal. It was very close indeed, but it's gone wide. Hard to imagine that PJ has failed to score this afternoon, but here he was coming through. It took a lot of steps. And in the end it was blocked down in the final chance, going into the side netting. Now it's at the discretion of the referee how much time he's going to allow on. Here's Dennis Byrne. Still only a point in it. Kilkenny looking for a chance, but the referee has whistled. It's all over. And Cork are the All-Ireland hurling champions for 1999.
17 minutes or 18 minutes to go in the game. We were leading by 4 points, and it was a day when scores were very hard to come by. And, you know, we were in a decent position. But Cork got 5 unanswered points in the last 17 minutes or so. And they won the game, and they didn't steal the game, they won the game, because in my opinion the best team in All-Ireland finals always win the game, because it's only there to be won, and you got to do what you have to do to win it, and they did that. And you know, there's no way, I suppose, thinking back, you'd be saying you wouldn't be happy with surrendering a 4-point advantage. If they had to get a goal, fair enough, you'd say right, we're back in the game, but they didn't. They pegged it back, and it was a rotten day for us in Croke Park.
Cork in '99 was a real killer, because we were 4 or 5 points up on that occasion. I know it was a bad day, but it was bad for both teams, but we were well up, going okay. Cork came back literally and beat us with points. It wasn't that they got 2 goals to beat us in the last few minutes. They actually got points, and we didn't score for the last 10 or 11 minutes, and that was a real killer.
Kilkenny have put a new development policy in place for their underage players.
Subsequent to being defeated by Offaly, the county chairman, Ned Quinn, in fairness to him, he brought in a number of key people within the county and set this process in motion, whereby there was development squads at various levels from 14 up to 17. You were first of all improving the skill of players. You were probably bringing players into an environment where they hadn't been involved in such organised coaching in their own clubs. Some obviously had, but maybe some of them didn't have. So they were learning a level of discipline about training that they hadn't got before. You were also identifying key players going forward that were likely to make it. You were also probably building a level of discipline into how they should behave as individuals and whatnot. And of course they were getting a little reward like a t-shirt or something like that to identify them as being part of a developmental squad.
Everything in Kilkenny is based on the parish. So for primary schools, it's the schools of the parish formed the team. The clubs took ownership of all the schools in the sense of supplying them with gear, paying their bills and so on. Anybody looking after a primary schools team is guaranteed 2 tickets if Kilkenny are in the All-Ireland final. And that's a major carrot. Any child in any school in Kilkenny should be able to get hurley, helmet or sliotar at a reasonable price. We run class leagues in the city, which means that every able-bodied man in the class puts a jersey on. And the night of the finals you'd have parents, but particularly mothers again, outside in Nowlan Park saying, "Sir, please give him a minute." And you try, if at all possible, to give everybody some couple of minutes, because with some children they'll never put a jersey on again. It's something that'll stick in their minds for the rest of their lives, maybe not in your mind or my mind. And they become the great supporter. They're the person who puts their hand in their pocket, and at the end of the day they're very often the person who keeps the show on the road.
The 2000 Leinster final was the third meeting in a row between Kilkenny and Offaly.
Back to Gary Hannafy once again. The big man coming in on the 14, he strikes it over the bar. 2 points for Gary Hannafy.
Some magnificent hurling going on at the moment.
You feel like they deserve a timeout, but then you don't want them to have it. You want them to just keep going at this fantastic rate. Wonderfully fit players, wonderfully talented hurlers, and Charlie Carter is nipping in, and Charlie has put it into the back of the net.
Superb goal again.
What a response, 11 minutes into the second half. Charlie with a goal and 3 points. And Charlie Carter got a goal and 3 points last year as well. DJ was there, but Charlie was backing up, taking plenty of steps, mind you. John Parr. Everybody after him. And still he feeds it inside towards Stephen Graham. This time to Dennis Byrne. That is absolutely brilliant.
And that's John Power's point again, there's no question. He got out to the middle of the field to win that.
That is brilliant.
Wonderful finish, of course.
He went out here near our commentary position, worked his socks off, played it inside. The return ball given out there to Dennis Byrne, whose striking was super.
Galway were in a reasonably good position until just after half-time in the semi-final.
Passing it inside for Andy Comerford, going right through. Here's a chance for Kilkenny. A goal! Nine minutes gone. Andy Comerford's goal. He went right through that time. Doesn't score too many goals, but he's done it here superbly in his 16th championship match. The hand pass coming in from Stephen Graham on for Comerford. Great movement, great power, great accuracy. He's lucky this time in that Philly Larkin appreciated the peril he was in. Brian McAvoy. Huge one up towards DJ Carey. Always good for a goal. He's got another. DJ Carey.
Tell me he's not a genius.
3 minutes of the second half gone. DJ Carey rips it into the back of the net. That's his 28th ever goal in championship hurling. The man is a master. Tuck it down here. Always causing problems for the back. And he buried it.
Having lost 2 finals in a row, Kilkenny had no intention of becoming the first team in the county's history to lose 3 in a row.
Ready to take off, ready to cut loose, falling, striking, but putting it over the bar. Henry Shefflin from Shamrocks, and Kilkenny have made the best possible start. Up towards Joe Dooley, it beats him however, not so Philly Larkin. Back in towards Henry Shefflin, 3 against 2 in there. Claffey fumbles, DJ's on his way, DJ Carey, great goal! Only 6 minutes gone. DJ Carey was anticipating, showed lightning pace and a dashing finish. Down towards Andy Comerford, battling in there with Ger Oakley. Picked up here by Brendan Murphy. He's a really pacey player, but that's Brian McAvoy. First time we've seen him in the match. That'll do his confidence a lot of good. Here they come with John Hoyne. Surprise choice inside for Henry Shaflin. Bearing it in goal again. Stopped on the line, and it's in. DJ and Henry Shaflin were close at hand. Joe Erity contesting with Henry Shaflin, and here comes DJ Carey. DJ Carey, saved, and it's whipped in the end, and it's another goal, and it's Charlie Carter this time. 3 goals in the first half, scored by each and every one of the inside forwards. This one coming after 32 minutes. DJ was racing forward. That's a great strike, good save, but punished by Charlie Carter. Out to Canis Brennan, the army man. It's a huge one, down towards Henry Shaflin. Can they get another one here? Henry's in, and Henry has scored.
I was just about to say, Canis Brennan is demanded and given a quick and early ball. He delivers his first big ball back of the net. That's a great goal by Henry Shaflin.
Simon Wheelahan trying to deflect it away. Here comes Eddie Brennan. Here's another one. It's all over now.
I told you he was a wonderful player. He was unlucky not to be on this team.
It's a day for winners. Willie O'Connor takes the Liam McCarthy Cup.
You know, we were massively determined. The players were hugely determined. No way they were going to let it be said that they were going to lose 3 finals in a row, because they were a very, very good team, great players in it. And we played well on the day. We got into the game very early, and we had a great victory that day.
The All-Ireland champions were in devastating form in the 2001 Leinster final.
Going by Colin Keogh. This is ominous. Good save, but it's in the back of the net.
Good save, Ger, but DJ got the rebound, and no better man than DJ doesn't miss chances like that. Good run by Henry Shaflin, coming right in, taking the finger on, going around him. Great save, but the rebound goes to DJ, and he won't miss it.
There's John Hoyne, seems to have switched inside to full forward. Here comes Brian McAvoy, and McAvoy over the bar. That's a great point by Brian McAvoy.
When they get that ball inside, they're very, very fast and very active. From very little ball, they've got a lot of scores, but the ball isn't going up. The Kilkenny half-back line midfield are not on top, like, you know, and they're getting very hard to get the ball in there.
Free-for-all situation, tidied in the end by Noel Hickey. Very good full-back. McAvoy into space, Shaflin chasing after it. Oh, here's Shaflin, turning it back nicely, an opportunity, and it's another goal!
In the semi-final, Kilkenny were unable to find their Leinster final form against Galway.
Taken away by Kevin Broderick, the pacey Broderick. It's like it's an egg and spoon race. He's taking it forward adventurously. Lovely skill getting it over Kennedy. And
oh, Ger, that is fantastic. He has travelled 45 yards.
37 to 47, they went that period in All-Ireland. 47 to 57, they went that period in All-Ireland. But they weren't really down. They were very close to the pace of the game. They were still very close to the cog of to the driving force at the centre of the wheel. And even 70s, and you said they went down, they were back up in 82, 83, but they were still only getting to semi-finals. How did they do it? Very patiently, very methodically, with great clarity and great planning.
In 2002, Kilkenny were under pressure to make up for their poor display against Galway the previous year.
Ling's shot has gone over the bar. What a great run by the man from Emeralds. Here comes Barry Lambert. How they could do to score. Played inside towards Mitch Jordan. Philly Larkin coming out to meet him. It's Mitch Jordan again. There's a goal chance here. And it's gone out for the 65. The save made by James McGarry. I'm sure the Wexford crowd here in their thousands, felt that that was going to slip in past the goalkeeper and be buried right in the back of the net, but it was a very good save. An inviting one in there. That's a great catch. Well, this man is having a blinder. Declan Ruth marshalling that Wexford defence. Comes back towards Henry Shaflin, however, and Henry Shaflin has showed Wexford how it's done.
We didn't score any goals on the day, and it was a high point scoring game. But Brian made a few substitutions. I was taking off myself the same day. Things were looking kind of dodgy at the end of it, you know, and we came back, and I think we scored 2 points near the end of it, scraped through.
Old rivals Tipperary were the opposition in the semi-final.
It was the first time since '69, I think it was, that Kilkenny were playing Tip, so there was a big hype about it, and of course DJ was after making his return.
There's pressure on, Ger.
It's over the bar, and that is the 250th point in DJ Carey's inter-county career. Huge one up towards Martin Comfort, leaving it behind there towards Eddie Brennan, taking possession once again and trying to be in command of the situation, and he is. Jostling in midfield already. 35 minutes to go to determine which of these teams will be playing Clare in a few weeks' time in the Guinness All-Ireland hurling final. And this looks like a very good start to the second half for Kilkenny. John Hoyne with his first point. First attack, producing the lead for the Cats. Oh, that's a great catch by J.J. Delaney from the Fenians. In over the head of Martin Comerford this time, waiting for assistance to arrive. Eddie Brennan would like to score 2 points in rapid succession. Noel Morris can't take it up. It's DJ Carey instead. Still has that lightning pace, getting away from Costello. Big roar from the crowd, and the reason is the white flag. 3 points for DJ Carey. Beyond Conor Gleeson this time, still warming up in this particular match. Comes out to Brian O'Mara. 2 men are after him. Mullally is one of them. Michael Kavanagh going out as well. Pass is too long, however. Chance to retrieve. Hit inside by Eugene O'Neill. What a start! And it's in! Nice balance and control here. Beautifully taken by Martin Comerford, who's just made that switch, as you heard. Great work again here by DJ Carey, taking on Costello. It's still DJ Carey. Will he go the whole way through? Laying it off, and the Sop has scored. Jimmy Coogan's first real chance of making a major impact. There are 24 minutes of the second half gone. Kilkenny sweep into the lead, and it's DJ who made it. Might have gone through himself, aware he might be hooped. They were all after him, and Coogan belted it into the net past Brendan Cummins.
Kilkenny met Clare in the final. This was their first meeting in the final since 1932.
Clare were after coming a very tough route, you know, to the final. They came through the back door, and Clare being Clare, you know, they weren't going to go down without a fight.
Richie Mullally, great take. Nicely down here towards Henry Shefflin. What a battle he's going to have with Sean McMahon. It's starting already. Thundering forward, looking for the opening score. It's a goal!
Beautiful cross ball. Henry Shefflin got across, and DJ just tapped it down into the net.
What a start that is. DJ Carey with yet another championship goal, and only 3 minutes are gone. Brian Lohan having his difficulties there at times with Martin Comerford. And that's Eddie Brennan, and Brennan has hit it, and he's put it over the bar. Dublin-based Garda Eddie Brennan plays for the Graig Valley Callan Club. The defiant fist thing there, I think, saying to his colleagues, come on, we can do it. But it was when Lohan was beaten and the ball wasn't cleared properly, Brennan was into the corner. Another surging run here by Eddie Brennan. Great play. John Hoyne is there as Jimmy Coogan. I think it's Coogan who's got it. DJ Carey, the Dodger himself. After him there was Ollie Baker DJ steadying himself, turning it in beautifully and putting it over the bar, and he's now got a goal and 4 points.
That's a fantastic score, Jerry. Couldn't catch it again. He had taken it twice in his hand, and he's a genius no matter what you say. You just won't replace this guy. Kilkenny now, watch this. He can't catch it again. Just steadies up, rattles it off the cuff. A beautiful score on the volley. Fantastic.
5 shots by DJ, 5 scores. So what can Clare do? Not an awful lot right now. Kilkenny once again, after slackening their influence on the game, have come back. But here is Brian Lohan, one man who never lets the side down. Not a great pass. Brian McAvoy, first touch, first chance. Anxious to make an impact, and he does it instantly. Great point by Brian McAvoy. 117 to 13 points. This is Richie Mullally. Kilkenny denied that point a little while ago, which they felt they might just get. Back there is Brian Lohan, partly blocked. Swept inside, dangerous ball, Shefflin! Henry Shefflin, 28 minutes gone in the second half, and that should be enough to secure the title for the Cats. That's a goal and 7 points now for Henry Shefflin. Martin Comerford played it across the face of the goal. Lovely, well-timed run, and Shefflin buries it. I don't think there's much in it. The referee is calling for the ball. It's all over. Kilkenny are very deserving champions.
Well, we got a great start. TJ got a goal early on, and we were playing well right throughout the field. You know, right throughout the field. A lot of mid of the forwards, our backs were excellent as well, right through, and midfield was strong. Again, we had huge determination that day, I suppose. We had lost the previous semi-final, and the team had been together for a while, and also we had brought in some new blood as well.
Well, what a day for Andy. Man who came back from London, kissing the cup, taking it proudly home.
If you take, say, the All-Ireland winning Kilkenny senior team of 2002, I think there was 11 of that 15 were past pupils at Kieran's. From about the late 20s, early 30s, Kieran started to develop a tradition of hurling, even though, funnily enough, it was originally a rugby school until the mid-20s. There was no win between 1975 and 1988, but then things really happened. For the first time ever, Kieran's won 2 in a row, 88 and 89, and then won 3 in a row in 1990. Lost out in the final of 91 and won the next 2. So they won 5 out of 6, and they were beaten in the 6th final. And that was the beginning really of a golden era in the late 80s and 90s. We are really lucky in Kieran's in that there's a network of excellent primary schools around the county who have a lot of very dedicated primary school teachers, male and female, doing a lot of work. And probably our tradition is such now in Kieran's that the best of those young hurlers want to come to Kieran's because tradition naturally follows on. But then when they come into us, you know, the hard work has to be done. And we are lucky we have a dedicated band of anything up to 10, 12, 14 teachers who put in an awful lot of hard work. And then of course there is the backing of the school authorities as well. And I think it's fair to say that we have a bit of a tradition here that we try to inculcate into the lads that, you know, discipline in hurling on and off the field is very important, but also discipline in your studies.
To actually crown a career, cap a career, and it's brilliant more so when you've had a career and coming towards whatever, you know, end is coming, and I hope that won't be for a couple of years. But if I was to win and captain a team at 21, I don't think it's the same.
The old rivals Wexford with the opposition in the Leinster final.
Plenty of atmosphere, still very noticeable around the place, and here come the Cats looking for a goal, and get one! And it's Eddie Brennan! First minute of the second half. Still coming through, Conor Phelan. Dropping short, but dangerously so! And it's Henry Shefflin, who will have put that out of Wexford's reach.
That's the thing, Gerard, they're doing this the whole day. It's a ball that worked up, their midfield is very strong. Peter Barry caught a high ball, and no better man than Shefflin just to flick it into the back net. Just watch it here, it comes, it's up in the air, it's coming a long, long way down, but Shefflin comes in from the side, just a touch in the back of the net, and there we go again, they're back to the 6-7 points.
The Mickey Brennan, a former Kilkenny star himself, presenting the Bob O'Keefe Cup, this wonderful trophy for the Leinster champions. Champions once again are Kilkenny. DJ Carey taking the cup.
And it's all about attitude, and they have a hurling attitude. And I think they've got the purest hurling attitude in the land. And I think that's what makes them different than anybody else in the land.
If Kilkenny were to win 2 in a row, they would have to overcome Tipperary and Cork in the last 2 games of the championship.
Eddie Brennan came onto it to snatch it and put it over. Walsh knocking it ahead here towards Martin Comerford, opening it out towards Henry Shefflin at right half forward. Shefflin striking, missed the last one, not this one, he's put it over the bar. Kilkenny once again trying to set up an attack here through Martin Comerford, going for it himself. Bounces off the stick of Brendan Cummins, they're all in after it. Henry Shefflin anticipating, trying to turn it around. Back here it comes towards John Hoyne on his left-hand side, between the posts and over. In terms of scoring chances, not much between them. Tipperary have created 20 scoring chances. Kilkenny have created 18. 10-9 on the score. And it is Paul Kelly hitting it from some distance and over.
That's a fantastic one, Gerald. Great way to play with Paul Kelly. He's always doing that. He shoves up to midfield, has a goal.
Huge free. Pressure on the backs. Hoyne coming in. Brennan ever available. Still dangerous. Goal!
It's coming for a while, Ger.
Eddie Brennan, third time of asking, has whipped it into the back of the net, mercilessly beyond Brendan Cummins. Going back there to claim possession is Derek Ling. Huge one in, everybody's after it. Cummins drops it, Brennan's after it. Shefflin comes back off a stick or a post, comes out to Tommy Walsh. The shot comes back this time off Paul Curran. Still it's Kilkenny. And it's stopped again by Cummins, comes out to Walsh. What a sequence, what a save again. Back to Walsh again. And it's a goal eventually by Tommy Walsh. Forward here for Paddy Mullally. Up towards Henry Shefflin. Shefflin stayed inside, waited and scored. Good night, Tipperary. And we're looking around for possible switches and changes from the early stage. And I've noticed that Comerford and Diarmuid O'Sullivan are on one another.
The previous 18 meetings in the final between the 2 leading hurling counties had Kilkenny ahead with 11 wins to Cork's 7.
And straight away it's Tommy Walsh here. 65 metres out from the Cork goal, looking to give his side the lead, and he's done it! What a start! First attack, first point. There was a doubt about him, but he showed no effects of any hip injury with that beautifully hit point. Dowling under pressure. Peter Barry's there to help out of the half-back line. It's been a magnificent half-back line by Kilkenny, and they have a great sense of togetherness. Comerford, very rangy player, very selfless player, taking on Wayne Sherlock. Turning, striking, and he has scored. Usually gets just about a point a game, Martin Comerford, but he's a great leader of the attack. Good play here. That's a fine effort by Derek Ling. Great point by Ling. Raises the white flag, and that's wonderful play when you can see a midfielder coming in, taking the responsibility and snapping it over. James Ryle not standing his ground, and once again it's a down to Halpine, and he scores!
Santa Claus has delivered, Joe. He's tripped it all day.
18 minutes into the second half. Santo Halpine with his third goal in the championship. His first score of the day here. Denied a point earlier on because it was wide, but this time no question or doubt about it. And he fires it in, and he's put the teams level for the second time. Andy Comerford waiting for the break to come his way, didn't do so. Derek Ling has it, spoons it outside to Henry Shefflin. Kilkenny needing scores. That's great play by Shefflin, breaking the hearts of the Cork backs once again. 5 points for Shefflin. Good ball inside, intended for Conor Phelan.
runs onto Henry Shefflin. Kilkenny have a man over. It's Martin Comerford. He balances it, he strikes, and he scores! The crucial goal of the game. Minutes into the second half, and the Cork defence was in a dither, and the disarray was punished in emphatic style by Martin Comerford. Dermot O'Sullivan is running forward to Joe Dean. Here he is into the equation, trying to steamwork roll his way through, stopped by Peter Barry. Kilkenny with possession, and Kilkenny with the title. The champions have retained the McCarthy Cup.
I think it's an absolute dream come true that very few, and even I couldn't have dreamt about it. I didn't prepare any speech, because you can't do it. You can't be prepared until you walk up those steps.
And now Kilkenny complete the double-double. And Grincha Oz O'Criorum and Cornan Brunner are captain Kilkenny. Ireland's greatest, Kilkenny's hero, the legend from Goran, DJ Carey.
As DJ Carey raised the McCarthy Cup in the presence of loyal fans, the country could rest assured, because the national game is always safe when the McCarthy Cup is decked in the black and amber of Kilkenny.